Chapter 654. When the three-legged golden crow with the strength of Heaven Stage Level 6 appeared, everyone shook their heads. The difference in strength was too great. There was no way to fight at all. Princess Sisai thought that if there was no prohibition of martial arts here, Yu Yang could fight and use the power of the card of fate. He might be able to win. But under the prohibition of martial arts and the prohibition of war, Yu Yang couldn't do it himself, and little one Li and the others couldn't use their full strength. And this wasn't a life and death battle. It was just a probing battle. Yu Yang couldn't expose all his strength. Princess Sisai and City Master Fallen Flowers looked at each other and nodded. They felt that it didn't matter even if they admitted defeat now. Anyway, the purpose of the probing had been achieved, and the enemy's strongest war beast had come out. And Anne didn't think so. In her heart, her lover should be invincible. At least she had to do her part to help him. The three-legged golden crow was indeed powerful, but she didn't want to admit defeat. Flames spray wind. The three-legged golden crow, whose whole body was shining like the sun, flapped its wings and sprayed out flames all over the sky. The light emitted by the flames was thousands of times stronger than the light of the sun. The long flames hadn't even reached the front, but the high temperature had already burned into the bones. Even the Catfish King, a meat shield defensive war beast, was so scared that it immediately dived its head into the lake, not daring to let its skin come into contact with the flames. This flame spray wind was different from Ji Zun's light of destruction. Ji Zun's light of destruction was the killing power of millions of energy rays, covering the sky and the earth with nowhere to hide. Even the soul could be directly annihilated. This flame spray wind only destroyed the enemy's vision. The real killing power was the ultra-high temperature flames. However, it was already incredibly powerful for a war beast attack to reach this level. Even Sky Disaster, who was in the demonic palace, had never seen such a terrifying beast power. Compared to the flame spray wind, the Sky Disaster she launched, it was like a child playing with sand. If the flame spray wind hit directly, she didn't doubt that the whole lake would be roasted dry. Little Wunli stood in front of Yu Yang. Her face was filled with anger. In the face of such a powerful enemy's attack, she tried to think of a way to counter it in a short moment. The sky-reaching blade in her hand kept changing shape, as if she was trying to turn it into a treasure that could resist the gold crow's flames. However, before the transformation was completed, Anan had already flown out and stood beside Yu Yang. She raised her spiritual energy field and summoned the spirit mirror. Reflect. The spirit mirror rapidly expanded, absorbing the sun-like beam of light into the spirit mirror world and reflecting it back in an instant. The wry-faced mushroom that was hiding in the water was hit by the reflected light beams. Fortunately, these light beams only damaged one's vision and did not have much destructive power. Boom, 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 followed by the most agile red dragonfly. When the sunlight blinded its eyes, the light beam of the spirit mirror easily hit it. Fire brambles, bubble jellyfish, and Catfish King were hit one after another. Only the energy-sucking suckers absorbed the light like a tonic. The flame spray wind rushed over quickly. It was as terrifying as the solar flames ejected by the sun. The ultra-high temperature could melt everything in the world, and this kind of high-temperature flame also had an impact force. The shockwave of the spray was enough to destroy Castle. Spirit absorption. Anan pointed her jade finger at the spirit mirror. The flame spray wind that filled the sky seemed to be pulled by an invisible force and all directed to the surface of the spirit mirror. At the same time as the flame spray wind rushed over, Anan turned her body and pointed to the gold crow in the distance. Reflect. A vision suddenly appeared. The flame spray wind that could destroy everything and melt everything turned around in front of the spirit mirror, just like the ocean that had rushed to the shore and was bounced back by the shore. All the flamethrowers turned around and shot back at the three-legged golden crow. In the sky, there was a reverse tide of flames. After countless flames rushed to the spirit mirror, they all reversed and swept towards the gold crow faster than before. The three-legged gold crow seemed to be startled. He croaked in his old voice, "How strange! How can this work?" The flames that filled the sky bombarded the gold crow. However, its sun-like body suddenly emitted golden feathers that filled the sky and disappeared without a trace. The flame spray wind did not hit any target and flew higher and higher into the sky. Finally, it disappeared into the distant sky. For a long time, the light did not disappear. The golden feathers that filled the sky reappeared and strangely formed 3 identical suns. It was unknown which gold crow was real and which was fake. Because the spirit mirror was resisting the attack of the Heaven Stage Level 6 war beast, it exceeded its original endurance. The light on the mirror quickly dimmed and turned into a ray of light that returned to the grimoire world. It was likely that it would not be able to fight again for a long time. Inan, who had overdrawn all of her mental power to reverse the flame spray wind, also felt a sweetness in her throat. She spat out a mouthful of blood from her cherry lips and fainted in Yu Yang's arms. The 3-legged golden crow can split into 3 clones. The strength of each clone is equal to its original strength for 1 hour. When the crow saw Inan vomiting blood and fainting, he signaled the gold crow to stop attacking and asked Yu Yang, "The gold crow is the king of the fire attribute, which is the nemesis of your war beast. If your war beast grows up, you might be able to fight, but now it is still too early. Young man, do you still want to fight?" Princess Sisai was so angry that her teeth itched. She really wanted to stand out like Inan and fight for Yu Yang, but her rationality told her that it was best to stop fighting now. Who said I want to admit defeat? Isn't it just the Eastern Goblin tribe's war beast? Who doesn't have it? Yu Yang was angry. He hugged Inan's fainted body and kissed her lightly. Then, he handed it to Yu Yu, who was walking forward. Little One-Li held the Tong Tian blade, which had turned into a mirror-shaped treasure in front of her. With the revelation of the spirit mirror, she believed that she could use the same method to resist the enemy's attack. Unfortunately, there were now 3 3-legged golden crows, not just one. Yu Yang closed his eyes, as if he was thinking and meditating. After about a minute, he shouted angrily, "Get up, collect the rent." As soon as these words came out, the sky was filled with a wonderful fragrance. It was even fresher and more refreshing than the fragrance emitted by the city mistress' fallen flowers. The colorful light flashed a few times. The Qilin girl Bingyin, who was yawning cutely, flashed in front of the crowd. She asked Yu Yang in a daze, "Where is this? I just fell asleep, and you were shouting and making a noise. Mom said that lack of sleep is the natural enemy of beauty. If I have panda eyes, and what bird is this? The gold crow? This is the Sun Valley of the Heaven Realm? No, the Sun Valley is not so dark." Yu Yang knocked her on the head with his fist. "Idiot, this is the Water World Black Tower of the Heaven Stairway, a sealed place." This hit caused the Qilin girl's beautiful big eyes to burst into tears. She covered her small head, and with a crying tone, she pitifully protested, "The domestic violence here is too serious. I want to run away from home. I asked you to come out and help. Just go up and beat that stinky bird." "What nonsense!" Yu Yang ignored her protest. "No, I can't beat him. That old guy has lived for at least tens of thousands of years. His strength is at the peak of the 6th level of the Heaven Stage, and he has 3 doppelgangers. I only have one, and it's still a child. You're abusing child labor." The Qilin girl Bing shook her head, indicating that she could not beat him. When Yu Yang heard this, he immediately waved his hand. "Then it's none of your business. If you can't beat him, just say so. Don't waste my time. Underage girls are the most troublesome." "Lecherous uncle, what did you say?" The Qilin girl saw that he looked down on her and was furious. She grabbed his arm and immediately used her little canine teeth to give him a taste of her power. Yu Yang and the Qilin girl failed to work together. Instead, the two of them wrestled with each other. Fortunately, the 3-legged golden crow did not sneak attack. Otherwise, it would be over. Shui Wuxia seemed to know that this would be the result. She turned her face away. Anyway, Yu Yang and the Qilin girl had fought before. The two of them were just born to have conflicting personalities. Over there, the crow, the skeleton man, and even the invisible woman were shocked by the appearance of the Qilin girl Bingyin. The three suns also quickly dissipated the light of their bodies and turned into three fire crows that looked like crows but were made up of flames. Is that the legendary immortal beast? The voice of the skeleton man trembled a little. Similar, very similar. The crow was also a little incoherent. It's not similar. She is the immortal beast Qilin. I didn't expect to see the immortal beast in the Tong Tian Tower. Are those old ghosts that only exist in a legend going to return to Long Tongue? The invisible woman's voice trembled as if she was shivering. Although I am your life guardian war beast, I'm also part of the Eastern Goblin tribe. The three fire crows expressed that they could not fight with the immortal beast here. The Eastern Goblin tribe was originally the life of the immortal beast world. But in ancient times, because of excessive killing, the peaceful immortal beasts were exiled to the heaven realm. They were like a group of wanderers who could not go home. They longed to return home every day. For millions of years, they have been longing to be forgiven and accepted by the immortal beasts. Since ancient times, all the ancestors of the Eastern Goblin tribe had made a solemn oath that their descendants would turn over a new leaf and never fight against their own tribe again. Not to mention the noble immortal beast, even if it was the same tribe, the Eastern Goblin tribe would not really fight to the death. If two Eastern Goblin tribes fought, it was just a facade to deceive people. The three-legged golden crow, if it was not the fight between the two sides, the old senior would like to come and greet the Qilin girl Bingyin. But the atmosphere was a little awkward. It was absolutely unwilling to make a move now. Once it made a move, the entire Golden Crow tribe would suffer a great disaster. Both sides are tied. You still have a war beast that hasn't made a move, and we are almost done here. The crow was also unwilling to provoke Yu Yang, who had an immortal beast. Once they fought, if something happened to the Qilin girl, not only the crow, but even the master, Emperor Wu Shuang, might be severely punished. Unless there is absolute certainty that he could kill her. There was also a treasure to wash away all traces. Otherwise, no one would be willing to attack the immortal beast. It was equivalent to piercing the sky, and no one could bear it. In that case, let's postpone this battle for the time being. Yu Yang originally wanted to summon the lifelike fire phoenix that the Phoenix sisters gave him. That fire phoenix was purely composed of Nirvana's flame. To deal with the three-legged golden crow, no matter what kind of king of fire it would still be burned. There is no flame in the world that could compare with Nirvana's flame. However, when Yu Yang summoned the fire phoenix, the Qilin girl Bingyin took the initiative to run out and pretended to be a little angry, making a scene with Yu Yang. In fact, she knew best that as long as she appeared, the three-legged golden crow would immediately stop fighting. That's good. We need more communication. You can go back first. Due to various reasons, we won't introduce you to His Majesty. You are welcome to come again. The crow was absolutely unwilling to fight with Yu Yang again. He didn't know who this kid was, but he definitely couldn't be offended. Just looking at his potential, his war beasts like the barbarian cow and the little snake demon, just the fact that he had an immortal beast to protect his body, he could guess one thing. This kid was very likely to be from the Eastern Immortal tribe. It was not easy to defeat this kid. There was no benefit in fighting, and after fighting, it would cause a disaster. Only a fool would start a war with him. In fact, long before the battle with Yu Yang, the crow was a little suspicious. If it wasn't for the Eastern Immortal tribe, how could this kid be so abnormal? He had several guardian war beasts. In the entire Tong Tian Tower, since ancient times, there had never been anyone like him. Let's go home. Yu Yang waved his hand, and the girls returned to the grimoire world under the guidance of little Wen Li and the others. Yu Yang directly took out the three-realm compass and left. After this battle, Yu Yang had many new experiences, allowing him to understand many things that he could not comprehend in previous battles. With these experiences, he believed that he could comprehend a new realm. In fact, not only him, but also Shui Wuxia and the others, as well as little Wen Li, Man, and the other Guardian War beasts, everyone couldn't wait to go back, wanting to use this experience to comprehend and break through. Chapter 655. Rumble. Southern Demon King caught up to Thunder of the Center, who was escaping in the sky. She struck the back of Thunder of the Center's head with her jade-like palm. The severely injured Zonglei, who was on the verge of death, widened his eyes the moment he was struck by the palm. His vision stopped. He continued to hold on to the fear that he had yet to get rid of. Then he stopped forever. The light in the sky dissipated and the shockwave from the heavy palm spread far away. Thunder of the Center lost control of his body as his head was smashed. He fell slowly. It gradually sped up and finally fell down, smashing into the ground, falling into a pool of blood. The guardian beast, Thunder Lizard, that had been desperately fighting to protect its master's escape, revealed a look of grief. It looked at its master and then gradually turned into a ray of light, forever disappearing. On the other hand, Southern Demon King's guardian beast immediately returned to its master's body and used its energy to support its master, who was exhausted from the battle. This treasure will be more useful in my hands. The strong preys on the weak. This is the law of the world. If I died in your hands, I believe I would be in a worse state. I hope your soul can rest in peace. I want to gift your corpse to someone else. Southern Demon King descended from the sky and stood beside Thunder of the Center's corpse. She bowed slightly and took down Thunder of the Center's Thunder God chain. Finally, she used her storage ring to keep Thunder of the Center's corpse. She used to burn the corpses of her enemies. However, after knowing Yu Yang, she knew that the corpses of her enemies were still useful. Whether it was Hui Tai Lang or the Golden Crown Thorny Flower Queen, they would not reject these supplements. Not to mention Thunder of the Center's innate level 10 corpse. Yu Yang would not even waste a normal beast corpse. When Southern Demon King was done with everything and was ready to leave, she realized that there was a tide of water 10 miles away. Strange, why would there be so much water? Could this be the enemy's plot? Southern Demon King's expression turned serious. She flew up into the sky and prepared to find out the truth. In another battlefield far away, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai were also cleaning up the battlefield. Under the suppression of Yi Kong's inherent skill and his guardian beast, Bai Yun Fei, who had the cursed magic box, was unable to turn the situation around. If the Golden Elf Bao Air wasn't here, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai might not have been able to defeat Bai Yun Fei. After all, the cursed magic box was a holy ranked weapon. It wasn't something that they, who had just become an innate, could fight against. Bai Yun Fei could only lament that he was born at the wrong time with his super lucky Bao, who could even transfer curses. First, he was suppressed by Yu Yang. Then he was surpassed by Xue Tan Lang and Yi Kong. Before he died, he was still affected by a weak girl like Bao Air. It could be said that he had died a useless death. He would rather die under Xue Tan Lang's ice fist. Unfortunately, the furious Xue Tan Lang had already made the decision to capture Bai Yun Fei alive and hand him over to Yu Yang and his elders for a public trial. He would execute Bai Yun Fei in front of everyone to serve as a warning to future generations. Kill me, kill me. Bai Yun Fei knew the consequences of being put on trial. Not only would he die, the entire floating mist school would be humiliated. After the public trial, I will chop off your head with my own hands. Then, I will hand your corpse over to Hui Tai Lang to eat. Xue Tan Lang's ice-cold face revealed an arc that seemed to be a smile. Ever since Bai Yun Fei used the cursed magic box to heavily injure Prince Tian Luo and humiliate himself, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai, he had decided to let Bai Yun Fei die in the most miserable way possible. After obtaining the demonic energy, you should have this awareness. Yi Kong snorted coldly and spat out a mouthful of blood. It was different from Bai Yun Fei. Xue Qianrun and Xue Qianxiu had already been beaten into a meat patty by Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, the Li brothers, and Fan Lin Tai. Especially Xue Qianxiu, who had transformed into a bug. In order to prevent him from dying thoroughly, Fatty Hai had first asked Lu Yi to use her cleansing, inherent skill to disperse the pile of minced meat, then burned it with fire and finally asked Xue Tan Lang to freeze it. Although there was no more energy left, Fatty Hai still felt that Xue Qianxiu must enter Hui Tai Lang's stomach before he could be completely at ease. Furthermore, this was the only way to vent his hatred. Hui Tai Lang had also returned. he originally had the chance to win against Bloodhoof of the South and Gale of the West. However, Thousand Goblin sect leader Shun Tian, Black Prince, and other super innates came. Although he did not attack, he was smart enough to know that he would not be able to take down Bloodhoof of the South and Gale of the West in this battle. Bloodhoof of the South and Gale of the West also did not continue to attack Hui Tai Lang, because Thousand Goblin sect leader said, Ji Zun is on the 3rd floor. A very simple sentence was enough to change Bloodhoof of the South and Gale of the West determination to fight to the death. They were very unwilling and retreated from the battlefield. After Hui Tai Lang heard this, in order to provoke them to fight again, he spat out a dark sacred sword that had not fused with the real skeleton fire scythe. This was the weapon that the Black Hell King used when he was alive. When the Black Hell King died in battle, Sky Execution asked Elder Nan Gong to pass the Black Hell King's corpse, Dark Sacred Sword and Dark Sacred Armor to Yu Yang. Since Yu Yang had the Tao Tai Blade and Nirvana Armor, he did not care about this holy ranked dark equipment set at all. He might as well give them to Hui Tai Lang to fuse with. Seeing Hui Tai Lang spit out the Dark Sacred Sword, Bloodhoof of the South and Gale of the West were filled with grief and indignation. However, logic prevailed over anger. Ji Zun was here. If they did not retreat, what would that mean? It would be hard for them to die, and they would only become prisoners. They knew many secrets of the ancient Demon King and the Black Hell King. Once they were captured, Yu Yang or Night Empress would use a secret technique to find out about the ancient Demon King's plans. Bloodhoof of the South looked at Hui Tai Lang, who was provoking him with his bull eyes. He stomped the ground hard, causing the ground to crack. The Thousand Goblins sect leader unwillingly and helplessly walked into the teleportation gate that was opened by the Thousand Goblins sect leader. The Thousand Goblins sect leader quickly left, while Shun Tian and the Black Prince continued to follow Hui Tai Lang until they saw him return to Yi Kong and Fatty Hai's group. They did not want Hui Tai Lang to leave halfway and join a battle. Too many unexpected things had happened, and they did not want to suffer any more setbacks. What are you guys doing here? Yi Kong did not have the ability to challenge Shun Tian and the Black Prince in the past. However, since they were enemies now, he would not be polite. We're just passing by. Shun Tian was cunning. How would he be willing to reveal any flaws? Let's go. The Black Prince saw the two abyss manatees returning from afar and quickly reminded them not to dawdle here. Yi Kong and Fatty Hai had not grown up yet, so they were not afraid. However, being surrounded by Hui Tai Lang and two abyss manatees was no joke. Since the sacrifice of the ancient seal circle had failed, there was no need for them to stay here. Wait a minute. Night Empress' beautiful voice rang out, scaring Shun Tian and the Black Prince. Why did she rush over? Night Empress did not show herself, but this was even scarier. Shun Tian was not sure if Ji Zun would come with them. If Ji Zun was here too, then he and the Black Prince would be in trouble. Telling her that they were just passing by was not an excuse. On the contrary, it would anger her. Did he have to reveal the ancient Demon King's plan to save his life? This thought flashed across Shun Tian's mind. From his standpoint, he did not care who he supported. He would support whoever had the most confidence. If he had not become enemies with Yu Yang early on, he would have attacked the Black Hell King and Thousand Goblin King's subordinates and legions. However, he had made enemies with Yu Yang previously, so he had no choice but to stay away. Now that the ancient Demon King's plan was perfect, he was willing to participate in it secretly. However, to openly become enemies with Ji Zun, that was impossible. He would not do that even if he was retarded. Not to mention him, even if it was the other super experts in Tong Tian Tower, such as the Thousand Goblin sect leader who worshipped the Thousand Goblin King or the Black Prince who hated the Soaring Dragon continent, they would not be stupid enough to become enemies with Ji Zun. Ji Zun asked me to tell you to be a good Nate and not be a busybody, otherwise you will die. Shun Tian absolutely believed in Night Empress' words. Because he was very clear about Ji Zun's temper, she usually did not like to manage others. But once she was angered, there was only one result. That was death. And it was complete destruction. Of course, we only heard that many Heaven Realm experts came to Heaven's Stairway, and wanted to lend a hand. Since Ji Zun has ordered, we will naturally obey. Shun Tian laughed and quickly left with the Black Prince. That kind of escape speed was 10 times faster than when they came, afraid that Ji Zun would change her mind and kill them in one move. You little guys did well. Have a good rest. Night Empress praised the stunned Yi Kong and the others with her heavenly voice. Her voice gradually faded away, and after that, there was no more sound. I'm so tired, Fatty Hai fell to the ground. Not only him, other than Xue Tianlang, who could barely support himself, everyone else sat on the ground with their whole body limp. The battle had truly ended. Everyone's grimoire automatically floated out. A brilliant golden light flashed. Some leveled up, such as Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, Xue Tianlang, Li Brothers, and so on. Some leveled up, such as Hui Tai Lang and King Kong, Rhinoceros, Little Hippopotamus, Wind Breath Seabird, King Kong Demon Ape, Herculean Rhinoceros Beetle, Storm Giant, and so on. Some leveled up, such as Lu Yi, Bao Air, Fan Luan Tai, Anna, and so on. In such a difficult battle, although there were many dangers, but after the suffering, everyone had gained a lot. One by one, they leveled up. Of course, because of the different efforts and different realizations, everyone's level of improvement was also different. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and Xue Tianlang. The three of them gained the most and leveled up more than their teammates. Other than the three of them, the next was Lu Yi. She fought against Xue Qianxiu alone and used her inherent skill to suppress the enemy. In this battle, she fought with her own confidence and level. In time, he believed that she would become an outstanding female warrior and become a qualified teammate who could help Yu Yang. The potential of the cleansing, inherent skill, and the perforate deer was limitless. Not to mention now, even if Yu Yang explored the divine grimoire world in the future or went to the gods' ruins, she would still be an important assistant. Woof. Hui Tai Lang, who was trying to fuse with the dark sacred sword and fuse it with the true essence fire scythe on his tail, suddenly stood up in surprise. He changed his usual lazy look and looked into the distance. What happened? Yi Kong and Fatty Hai thought that the situation had changed, but it turned out that they looked like dead dogs. They immediately jumped up. Everyone picked up their weapons and prepared to fight again. From afar, they saw the gigantic blood python king swimming towards them with a few smaller blood pythons. They didn't know that this was the stone element Medusa's beast and thought that it was the enemy's beast. One by one, they gathered their strength and prepared to attack. The southern demon king who was hugging her, Jade, Peepa, suddenly flew across the sky like a meteor. She shouted at the stunned Yi Kong and Fatty Hai. You idiots, why are you still here? The enemy saw that they lost the battle and created flood. If you don't want to be a drowned rat, run away quickly. A strange sound came from afar. The monstrous tide formed a long line of water that couldn't be seen from the horizon, covering the sky and covering the earth as it surged towards them. Yi Kong's scalp went numb, and he shouted, "This water is so big. Where should we run to? Where are you, Yang and Princess Sisai?" The southern demon king ignored him and flew away quickly, leaving behind a sentence. That guy has already returned to the front yard of the 100 Flowers Valley. Huh? Fatty Hai fainted. Is he that unloyal? We don't have that scroll, so we can't leave this heaven stairway. Help, help. Chapter 656. When Anan opened her eyes, she found herself lying in Yu Yang's arms, and he was sitting on the bed. In addition to hugging her, he was also constantly injecting energy into her body to help her recover from the physical injuries caused by the overdraft and the spiritual backlash. Although she had recovered, Anan was reluctant to get up from his arms immediately. Of course, the conversation between Xue Wuxia and Princess Sisai also made her feel shy. It seemed that everyone was here. She didn't dare to get up now. She simply closed her eyes and continued to pretend to sleep. Captain Yong Hui's tactics have been discussed. Now that guy only has the black smoke horn dragon left and is trapped in the water world. There is nothing to be afraid of. Later, we will continue to practice with him. Now, let's summarize the battle between Emperor Wu Shuang's subordinates, the skeleton man, the crow, and the female ghost. Princess Sisai, Shui Wuxia, Fallen Flowers, City Mistress, Impatience, Sky Calamity, Yu Bing, Hai Yingwu, and Drunken Cat were all gathered together, exchanging their battle experiences and insights. It was because their hearts were twisted together, exchanging what was and what wasn't, that they could improve by leaps and bounds. You first. Shui Wuxia was in charge of recording. The skeleton man and the female ghost, these two people are not below the crow. I could see a little, but not much. The skeleton man's war beast should be a special type of white bone war beast, like a white bone cage, very strange. As for the female ghost, when the three-legged golden crow cast flame spray wind, I saw a demon with an umbrella shielding her from the sun. Yu Yang said what the girls couldn't see. These two war beasts, only his heaven eyes divine vision could see. White bone cage and umbrella demon. When Shui Wuxia was recording, she frowned slightly, then handed the book to Yu Yang. Probably like this. Yu Yang drew the two war beasts on the book. Think about it. Next to the two beasts drawn in the book, he wrote down two abilities: capture and imprison, and mental intimidation. Although it might not be correct, Yu Yang felt that these two beasts at least had this kind of ability. Shui Wuxia took back the book, nodded lightly, and drew Wry-Face Mushroom, Red Dragonfly, Fire Thorn, Sucking Insect, Bubble Jellyfish, and Catfish King, indicating the abilities of each beast. Princess Sisai came over to take a look and thought for a moment. City Lord Fallen Flowers and Impatience looked at each other and said with a smile, "Let me tell you my opinion. We didn't put in much effort in this battle, but we learned a lot from this test, as expected of an elder from tens of thousands of years ago. In terms of matching beasts, restraining the enemy, and making last-minute changes, we are far inferior to him. No one would have thought that the Wry-Face Mushroom would have such a miraculous effect. It could actually make Red and Man unable to fight. As for this Wry-Face Mushroom's tactics, I think that if we encounter this kind of beast without knowing it, we will definitely lose. After this battle, I think we must all have war beasts that can counter mental attacks." City Lord Fallen Flowers' first conclusion was this: "But I'm only good at plant-type war beasts." Yu Bing felt that it was a little difficult. The war beasts that she was good at were too unorthodox. There are 3 ways to counter mental control. Impatience said, "The first is the most direct way. Use emotionless war beasts to counter it, such as various war dolls. War dolls are the nemesis of war beasts, like Wry-Face Mushroom. The second is to use war beasts that are less emotional and not afraid of negative emotions to counter it, such as Spirit of Heaven Fire." "What about the third?" Yu Bing asked anxiously. "It's war beasts that are beyond the range of ordinary human emotions, such as Little One Li. In fact, Red and Man are affected because they still can't control their emotions. If they can reach the level of Little One Li, then Wry-Face Mushroom's mental attack will be completely immune. Of course, it's very difficult to do this. I estimate that it has to be at least a divine beast, because Wry-Face Mushroom's level is too high and its mental attack is too strong." Impatience comforted Yu Bing softly and smiled. "Your green light tree demoness has hopes of advancing in the future. Don't be anxious. In fact, the most important thing to fight against Wry-Face Mushroom is its master. If you and the Titan Ancient Tree are one, you will not be affected by the mental attack, and the Titan Ancient Tree will also be very lightly affected. If your brother didn't deliberately show weakness, Red and Man would easily get rid of the negative emotions." That's right. The more intelligent the war beast master is, the less affected the war beast will be. The smarter and more determined the war beast is, the faster we'll get rid of it. City Lord Fallen Flowers pointed at Drunken Cat's Nyonyo, Yu Bing's green light tree demoness, and her own fox girl, indicating that they all had a chance to get rid of that negative influence. "Next time, we won't be so embarrassed." Red and Man stood up uneasily and apologized to the girls. "It's actually a good thing to learn from your mistakes. Didn't you just improve?" City Lord Fallen Flowers laughed. "Wry-Face Mushroom is similar to Bubble Jellyfish. If you want to defeat Bubble Jellyfish, you need the intelligence of the war beast. You must find the weakness of the bubble before you can leave. As long as it's a holy beast, there's a chance to get rid of it. It's just a matter of time. Impatience continued. Red dragonfly is actually not difficult to fight. Elemental and special types are its nemesis. Spirit of heaven fire and flawless snow woman can beat it to the ground. In fact, the biggest requirement to defeat red dragonfly is domain. If you understand the power of domain, then you can definitely defeat it. Battle Angel Ik, upon hearing this, immediately walked out. It wasn't that she didn't have the power of domain, it was just that she didn't know how to use it properly in a lightning-fast battle. After Impatience's words, she immediately understood something and couldn't wait to go out and try it out. Then, City Lord Fallen Flowers and Impatience talked about the weakness of Firethorn. Firethorn's weakness and strength were equally obvious. If it was a war beast, it would be dead if it encountered it. No matter how many there were, it would just be a meal. Strengthening war beasts had no way to deal with it. Only elemental war beasts, and they had to be water-type and ice-type war beasts that countered it, could restrain it. If it was a fight, Storm Mermaid's combat power was far inferior to Firethorn, but she could easily defeat Firethorn. This was a natural enemy that restrained it. Sucking Worm was the opposite of Firethorn. No matter how many elemental war beasts there were, hitting it was equivalent to scratching an itch. Its nemesis was beast-type beasts, and strengthening-type beasts would also be able to make it suffer. For example, if Ekong sent out a King Kong demon ape or Fatty High's King Kong rhinoceros, it would be a tie. If he sent out Hui Tai Lang, then the sucking worm would directly become its food. On the contrary, if he sent out Spirit of Heaven Fire or Storm Snow Woman, he might not be able to take down this sucking worm. Catfish King, I can't do anything about it. It's too big. City Lord Fallen Flowers felt that even if this Catfish King didn't attack, she wouldn't be able to kill it with just the Aurora Blast. That's how a giant war beast is. Its body is everything. You can slowly grind it to death, but it's too tiring. If there's no special method, it's best to avoid fighting. Does Third Young Master have any good suggestions for fighting this kind of giant war beast? Impatience was a little jealous when she saw Yu Yang hugging Inan gently. Her limelight was stolen by this little girl Inan. If it wasn't for this brat holding her down and not letting her make a move, with her strength and the Charm Demon Queen's fighting power, they might be able to defeat that crow that had lived for tens of thousands of years. A good way is to find a bigger war beast. Yu Yang smiled. In the future, when we go up to the Heaven Realm, we will think of a way to get a good war beast. We must let everyone contract a few more. In your dreams, how can it be so easy? Yu laughed when she heard this. This would definitely not be so easy. If we really can't find it, we can just rob others just like robbing Yonghui. Yu Yang was a follower of banditry. Everyone gave him a supercilious look. Only Yu Bing felt that her brother was mighty. She raised her little fist and agreed with her brother's idea. What are the strengths and weaknesses of that three-legged golden crow? Princess Sisai asked the most important question. Among the many war beasts of the old crow, although wry-faced mushroom, red dragonfly, firethorn, sucking insect, bubble jellyfish, and catfish king each had their own strengths, they couldn't be compared to the three-legged golden crow. One three-legged golden crow could offset all the war beasts combined. The three-legged golden crow has almost no weaknesses. It is very powerful. Even in the Heaven Realm, I believe that there are not many war beasts that could defeat it. However, the crow itself is its biggest weakness. The crow has lost its body and is not as strong as the three-legged golden crow. If it encounters an opponent of the same level, it will be easily killed by the enemy. If it's me, fighting with the three-legged golden crow is nonsense. Killing the crow directly is the best way. The advantage of the three-legged golden crow is that it has 3 sons. Unless they're all killed, as long as one is left, it can recover. The weakness is the time limit. I believe that after transforming, the three-legged golden crow will have a period of weakness. If there is a person's domain or treasure that can control the speed of time in the domain, then the three-legged golden crow will suffer once it transforms. If the three-legged golden crow doesn't transform into a human, when it attacks from afar, it can only use simple moves like Raging Flame Spray Wind. The spirit mirror reflection can also restrain this kind of attack. You guys can't deal with the three-legged golden crow for the time being. Don't worry, just think about dealing with wry-face mushroom first. Yu Yang also knew that everyone would act according to their abilities. The three-legged golden crow was at the 6th level of Heaven's stage. Without the help of a special treasure, even sky law like impatience wouldn't be able to beat it. I really envy Sister Anan's spirit mirror. It's too powerful. Yu Bing recalled the destructive power of the raging flames spray wind at that time, but Yu Bing had used the power of the spirit mirror to counter it. At that time, the skeleton man, Crow, and the others were so shocked that their eyeballs almost fell to the ground. You can do it in the future too. Work hard. Yu Yang caressed his sister's head. Yu Bing and Anan had different types of growth. In the future, when Yu Bing grew up, it might be difficult to fight against the three-legged golden crow, but against other war beasts, with the titan ancient tree in hand, he believed that he would be invincible. Anan, who was pretending to be asleep in Yu Yang's arms, heard everyone praising her one after another. She also heard Yu Yang use her as an example to encourage Yu Bing. She felt both proud and happy. She could finally become his help, but it was a pity that it was not enough. If she had cultivated to a higher realm, then she wouldn't have vomited blood and fainted in his arms after just one move. Anan secretly encouraged herself. She must become stronger and become his right-hand man, just like Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, and the others. She knew that if Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai were to fight, the results would be even greater than her. They were just temporarily hiding their strength, waiting for the right time to explode. If her body fusion could be of greater help to Yu Yang like them, she believed that Yu Yang's improvement would be even greater and his battle power would also be stronger. After a round of discussion, they shared their own insights, and everyone had different gains. For example, Hai Ying Wu and Drunken Cat, who were of lower level and weaker strength, were overjoyed. They even couldn't wait to go out and train and level up. Impatience and Shui Wuxia, on the other hand, wanted to stay and continue to explore deeper insights with Yu Yang, hoping that they could advance to a higher realm. They knew that Yu Yang would definitely have the most insights. 3 hours passed, and all the girls were a little tired. Before resting, Shui Wuxia suddenly made a suggestion. Tomorrow is a good day. Why don't we give Anan some compensation? Her trip to the heaven realm was fine, but was delayed by the clown group. Anyway, the days of fighting and killing are endless. Why don't we do it in advance? What do you guys think? Since you, the main wife, have spoken, I can barely be considered as a concubine. How can I not agree? Impatience laughed. All right, let's do that. Princess Sisai and City Mistress Fallen Flowers also nodded in agreement. When Anan heard the good news, she was so shy that she hid in Yu Yang's embrace, not daring to look at anyone. Only now did she realize that they had already known that she had woken up. Was she going to be his bride tomorrow? Anan was happy and shy at the same time. Her heart was nervous and sweet at the same time. However, wasn't this what she had hoped for? Luo Hua, Wu Hen, and the others were still ahead of him. Be braver. Take out the courage that you had when you promised to marry him. Anan hid in Yu Yang's embrace and did not dare to move, but she kept cheering for herself in her heart. Chapter 657. The next day, early in the morning, when Anan jumped out of bed excitedly to welcome the morning light of the important day, she found that there was an unexpected building outside the garden. It was a rainbow bridge built with the white clouds, crystals, and rainbows of the Sky Island. Although it was not big, it was good enough. It was ingenious. This is... Anan was surprised to find that her cousin, Shui Wuhan, who had been accompanying Fourth Mother, had also returned. It was she who built this crystal rainbow bridge with Shui Wuxia. We have nothing to give you. Wuxia said that your trip to the Heaven Realm was temporarily canceled and you can't go to Rainbow City. So Wuxia and I decided to build a small rainbow castle for you as a congratulatory gift. Sickly Beauty gently stroked Anan's head. After becoming a wife, her original temperament gradually gained a kind of affection similar to Fourth Mother's. Her usually serious and focused face, as long as she smiled slightly, The brilliance would make people's heart light up. "Thank you." And Anne felt that her eyes were warm, and tears almost couldn't help but fall down. "It's nothing. Beautiful bride-to-be, go and do what you need to do." The sickly beauty held Nan's little face in her hands and kissed her lightly on the forehead to express her blessing. If there was no battle experience, Yi Kong and Fatty Hai, who had already started to cultivate, were now sweating profusely. They were sweating profusely as they carried all kinds of materials needed to build the castle. With their strength, it was not difficult to carry things. The main reason was that all kinds of materials were carried back from different spaces in Tong Tian Tower, so they were so busy that they didn't even have time to drink water. Fortunately, the Rainbow Castle was built very small and could not be compared with a real castle. It was just a big house, and with Shui Wuhan and Shui Wuxia personally building it, the speed was very fast. In less than an hour, the Rainbow Bridge, which was hundreds of meters long, was born in the hands of Shui Wuxia. Princess Sisai and the City of Fallen Flowers also came to help. Princess Sisai did not have the ability to inscribe runes on crystals like Sickly Beauty did. She was in charge of the work. The City of Fallen Flowers, on the other hand, took care of the flowers. Drunken Cat gave Anan a bunch of gifts. All kinds of rare treasures almost filled up her room. What surprised Anan was that even the Southern Demon King, who had barely spoken to her, gave her a Thunder God's chain. How could she be willing to give such a precious thing to him? And Anne was a little confused. This thing was good, but was it suitable for her? If it was in the hands of Sky Law, the Lightning God's chain would certainly be a useful treasure, but in his hands, it couldn't display its true power at all. Here. And Anne found Sky Calamity, who was watching the fun, and gave the chain of Thunder God to Sky Calamity, who had barely chatted with her. For me, Sky Calamity was dumbfounded. "Aren't you good at summoning the power of Sky Calamity? With this, I believe your power will be even stronger." Anne nodded. "But this is a wedding gift from someone else." Sky Calamity was still a little confused. What was Anne thinking in her little head? Could a wedding gift be given to someone else? "It doesn't matter, I still have a lot. Moreover, what I really need is not a treasure. With this, it's enough for me." And Anne was in extremely good mood. Her little face was like the rising sun. She bounced and ran back to her room like a little deer. She gave the gifts from everyone to others one by one. Other than the gifts from Fourth Mother and the other elders, she almost didn't keep anything for herself. "Do we have gifts too?" Fan Luan Tai, the Oxhead girl, thought that the custom of the Soaring Dragon Continent was for the bride to give gifts to everyone. She was very happy. What a beautiful pearl. The gift Bao Er received was the 3,000 years old Lucky Meteor Pearl that Hai Yingwu gave to Anan. "Ah, we haven't prepared a gift for you. I'm a little embarrassed." Although Fatty Hai said so, when he saw that the gift that Anan gave him was a platinum-ranked treasure silver dragon armor, he immediately took it without hesitation. Go to hell. Yikon despised the damn Fatty very much. How dare he call himself the boss? He didn't even prepare a small gift for Anan. "Monkey, I didn't have time. I just came back from the first level of the Heaven Stairway and didn't have time to prepare. Do you think that I, the boss, wouldn't have anything to say? On the other hand, you damn monkey, you think you're smart. You obviously had the Blood Python King to lead the way, but you still led us and almost drowned in the first level of the Heaven Stairway." Fatty Hai and Yi Kong looked at each other angrily. Yesterday, their team was in a sorry state. Because they didn't understand Yu Yang's intention of sending the Blood Python King to lead the way, they only cared about escaping. In the end, they were chased miserably by the tsunami-like water. When the old fox finally found them with great difficulty, he scolded them one by one. "I'm not afraid of a godlike opponent, but I'm afraid of a pig-like teammate." Yi Kong sighed. "What did you say? You're the pig." Fatty Hai decided to fight with Yi Kong. "You're all pigs." Shui Tan Lang corrected him. "Ha ha!" Prince Tian Luo laughed so hard that tears came out his eyes. Although he was heavily injured in the previous battle, he had also gained a lot from it. Furthermore, because of the incident with the cursed magic box, Yu Yang had decided to quickly increase the strength of his teammates in these three areas. The first was to increase their levels. The second was to prepare some treasures for everyone. If everyone had a holy weapon in their hands, why would they be afraid of a cursed magic box? The third was to prepare to get a heaven-ranked beast for everyone. If they were not strong enough, they could use a heaven-ranked beast to make up for it. After all, they were all young people. If they were not strong enough, they could slowly train. If they could get a powerful beast early on, their safety would be guaranteed. So noisy, all of you get lost. When Princess Sisai flew into a rage, everyone was scared and scattered. If they angered Tigress, even Yu Yang wouldn't be able to save them. In the afternoon, a large group of elders came to congratulate them. Although it was held secretly, and there wasn't any ceremony, it was just for the young people to build a small house, prepare a table of food and wine, and be happy. But when the elders knew about it, they felt very guilty. Because of the ancient seal incident caused by the ancient demon king, they really didn't have the time to solemnly hold a wedding for Yu Yang and Anan. Moreover, they were in such a rush, it was even more impossible to hold a wedding. So, the elders came to congratulate Yu Yang and Anan, and gave some gifts to express their sincerity. As the emperor, Jun Wu Yu repeatedly expressed that the wedding had to be solemn, but there was no time now. When the war calmed down, he would hold a wedding ceremony for Anan that would cause a sensation in Tongtian Tower. Of course, at that time, Yu Yang would not only marry her, but also Princess Sisai, Shui Wuxia, and City Mistress Fallen Flowers. Now, the elders only treated this as a small rehearsal for the wedding, and not as a formal wedding. Anan didn't care how the elders arranged it, but she was already overflowing with happiness today. As long as she could marry the one she loved, the ceremony was not important at all. Traceless, Fallen Flowers, Sky Law, and Aquamarine didn't have any ceremony, but they were all very happy. Qianqian and Wuxia, they were only told by Jizun to temporarily maintain their virginity to cultivate, otherwise they might be like her. In these happy days, Anan didn't need to do anything. She only needed to keep accepting the blessings of others. Yu Bing let Anan, the little sister-in-law, accompany her, and Yu Shuang, the little girl, ran around happily, reporting her brother's movements to them from time to time. In the evening, the small rainbow castle was finally built. In fact, the biggest one was the Rainbow Bridge. There were a few small crystal houses below, which could be regarded as Anan's new house. Yu Yang was also busy for the whole day. In addition to greeting the elders who came to congratulate him, he also met with the envoys of various secret alliances, informed his allies about the Heaven Realm and the movements of the ancient Demon King. Then he drank with Fatty Hai and the others who wanted to make trouble in the bridal chamber, and drank them down. Little guys, drinking with me, you're simply looking for trouble. Yu Yang, who had innate chi and nirvana flame, drinking was a piece of cake. In order to deal with Fatty Hai and the others, he directly used the strongest dragon blood wine. That kind of wine could knock down an elephant with a few drops. Fatty Hai and the others let him drink more than 10 cups in a row. It was already very impressive that they didn't fall down on the spot. Anan, who was wearing a red wedding dress, sat in front of the bed waiting for him. Yu Bing was also waiting a little sleepily. She listened to Fourth Mother's arrangement and said that she would block the guests for Anan and not allow outsiders to come in. Only her brother was allowed to come in. In the end, she was very responsible and kept waiting. Anan secretly felt that it was funny, but she was too embarrassed to urge her to leave. "Brother, you're back. I'm so sleepy." Yu Bing, who was tired for the whole day, was very happy that she had completed her task, but she forgot the place. She, who was used to sleeping in the same room with Anan, took off her shoes and went to bed, forgetting that today was her brother and Anan's wedding day. Yu Yang waited for Yu Bing to fall asleep, then gently picked her up, bent down, and kissed the shy Anan. "Bride, wait a moment." He went to send his sister back to the grimoire world and washed away the smell of alcohol. When he returned to the room, he found Sickly Beauty waving at him outside the door. Other than handing him a white cloth to dye her chastity, she also whispered to him, "Sister Anan's body is still young. Be gentle." After Sickly Beauty left, Lu Yi, who was hiding in the corner, walked out. She lowered her head and didn't dare to look at Yu Yang. She only handed the gift in her hand to him and said with a slightly trembling voice, "Master, I forgot to give you a gift during the day. I'm leaving." Lu Yi noticed that Yu Yang had pinched her cheeks and her whole body shook as if she was electrocuted. She quickly stuffed the gift into Yu Yang's arms and rode away on the perforate deer. Anan hid in the quilt and secretly watched Yu Yang push the door open and come in. She wanted to pretend to be asleep, but her breathing couldn't calm down. "Here, this gift is suitable for you." Yu Yang opened the gift box. There was a pair of cute porcelain dolls inside. "Is the door closed properly?" Anan was a little shy. She had listened to the queen's advice during the day, and because of her curiosity, she had peeked at Yu Yang's lovemaking with traceless and fallen flowers, so she knew a little. Moreover, as a brave Anan, she didn't allow herself to shrink back, especially in front of him. She wanted to be with him forever and ever. "Don't worry, no one dares to eavesdrop on us." Yu Yang hugged the beauty in his arms and gently kissed her cherry lips that were trembling slightly because of nervousness. Her lover's kiss diluted her nervousness and worries. She was intoxicated by the sweet kiss. When his big hands caressed her body, her breathing quickened, and she couldn't help but hug him tightly. She felt that she was going to melt in his arms and never let go of him for the rest of her life. This man was the husband that she had chosen for herself, and he was even the one that she had decided to marry for herself. Since she had entrusted everything to him, what else was there to worry about? After the drunken kiss, Anan became a little more clear-headed. She remembered the queen's advice and quickly struggled to sit up. Her soft body sat up in his arms, and she used her weak fingers to undress him. Her duties as a wife started tonight and would continue to be carried out in the future, because from today onwards, he was her husband. Because her fingers were weak, she couldn't undo his clothes for a long time. Anan was embarrassed. She buried her head in his arms, embarrassed that she couldn't face anyone. "Am I very stupid?" Anan realized that he was secretly laughing, and she couldn't help but laugh too. She looked up at him and asked, "No, my bride isn't stupid. No, my bride isn't stupid. She's cute." Yu Yang gently kissed Anan's little face, eyebrows, nose, cheeks, earlobes, and cherry lips. The fiery kiss made her tremble in happiness, and she was intoxicated by the sweetness for a long time. Unknowingly, her clothes had been taken away by him. Under the illumination of the red candles, her perfect body exuded the beauty of a goddess. Anan thought that she would be very nervous and worried that her clumsiness would affect the good thing, but who knew that everything went smoothly. It wasn't until he gently pressed on her body that Anan remembered that she had to put a white cloth under her body to represent her chastity. She originally wanted to lay on the bed, but his kiss made her feel weak all over. Forget it. It was just a souvenir for her to bid farewell to a maiden. As long as she was a pure virgin, then the chastity she gave to her husband would be. Anan felt his gentleness, and her heart was moved. She gathered her courage to kiss his lips and said shyly, "It's okay. I'm not afraid of pain. It doesn't hurt, I don't hurt at all." Even though the pain of saying goodbye to the young girl made her tears roll down uncontrollably under his gentle kiss, that tear became the proudest thing in her heart. She endured the pain and kissed his lips tightly. His mouth still had the slight, salty taste of her tear, but quickly turned into sweetness, nourishing his entire heart. She had finally given the best of everything to the man she loved. "I love you, scoundrel!" Anan cried again, but this time it wasn't because of the pain, but because she was touched and happy. Chapter 658. When Anan woke up, she found that it was almost noon. She suddenly remembered that the elders said that the bride should cook for her husband and raise the table to show respect. She was anxious, but she didn't expect that when she moved her feet, the unbearable pain in her tender body made her cry out. City Lord Fallen Flowers, who was sitting in front of the bed, quickly reached out and pressed Anan down. Lie down obediently, and don't move." "Where's my clothes?" Only then did Anan realize that she was naked and quickly hid under the quilt. Thinking of everything that happened last night, she couldn't bear it and covered her head, not daring to look at City Lord Fallen Flowers. What's there to be shy about? Does it hurt? City Lord Fallen Flowers comforted her with a smile and suddenly asked, "No, it doesn't hurt anymore." And Anne quickly shook her head, indicating that she was fine. In fact, her body hadn't recovered at all. "It's like this at the beginning, but it'll be fine after you recover. Your body isn't as good as Sky Law or even Aquamarine. Don't be as greedy as them these days. Anyway, there will be opportunities in the future. It's not too late to wait until your body recovers. That bad guy is very greedy. He won't complain no matter how much you give him, so don't bother about him. Your body is the most important. At that time, I also took care of myself first and didn't care about him. If he dares to bully you, see if I don't skull him to death." City Lord Fallen Flowers reached out and gently brushed aside a few strands of messy soft hair hanging on Anan's cheeks, giving her some words of experience. "No, he's very gentle." Anan was afraid that City Lord Fallen Flowers would criticize Yang, so she quickly said a few good words for him. "Did you improve yesterday?" City Lord Fallen Flowers asked again. "Yes." Anan nodded with a little shyness and a little joy. After the last body fusion, her level and strength had improved even more. Anan didn't expect that after the real body fusion, there would be such a big improvement. The longer you cultivate, the more you'll improve in the later stages. You've been cultivating longer than me, so your breakthrough last night was also greater than mine. No wonder Qianqian and Wuxia still want to continue cultivating. Now I'm a little regretful that I gave it to him too early." City Lord Fallen Flowers was, of course, joking. She was trying to comfort Anan. In fact, City Lord Fallen Flowers also knew that if it wasn't for Ji Zun and Night Empress' request for Wuxia and Princess Sisai to remain virgins, Princess Sisai would have already been pushed down by Yuyang. She knew that Tigress was only fierce in front of others. If it was just Yuyang alone, Princess Sisai would definitely be subdued by Yuyang. "It doesn't matter if I increase my realm, as long as I can help him." Inan was actually not thinking about herself, but Yuyang. City Lord Fallen Flowers smiled sweetly when she heard this. In fact, everyone had the same thought in their hearts, but they didn't say it out loud. After chatting for a while, City Lord Fallen Flowers secretly passed on a secret technique to Anan, saying that it could only be taught after she had merged with Yuyang. This secret technique was similar to the spiritual force field, but it was more profound, and it had to be cultivated with Yuyang in order to have an obvious effect. According to City Lord Fallen Flowers, for the time being, even Princess Sisai and Shui Wuxia didn't know about this secret technique. Only Shui Wuhan, Sky Law, and Aquamarine knew about it. As for Anan, she curiously asked who taught this secret technique. City Lord Fallen Flowers shook her head mysteriously. After she left, Inan endured the pain and got up, hurriedly putting on her clothes. Not long after, Yu Bing carefully came in with a bowl of fragrant soup. "Sister-in-law Anan, brother specially made this for you." After a pause, she embarrassedly said, "Ah, that, you and I didn't know. We drank it first. We really didn't know it was for you." "That's nothing. Let me wash up first." Anan's heart was filled with sweetness. She didn't mind that Yu Bing and Yu Shuang drank it before. They must have misunderstood and thought that brother personally cooked for them. In any case, as long as it was made by Yuyang, it was enough. What she drank was from his heart. As for who drank it first, it wasn't important at all. After drinking the soup, Anan felt that her body and mind were filled with happiness and sweetness. Her whole body was greatly nourished, and her face naturally radiated brilliance, making Yu Bing a little surprised. "Sister Anan, ah, sister-in-law, your face looks especially good today. Your level. So fast, you leveled up again." Yu Bing didn't think that this was the result of Anan and Yu Yang's true body fusion. She thought that it was Anan's own cultivation. Seeing that she misunderstood, Anan secretly laughed and asked, "Where's your brother?" Yu Bing pointed outside with her small hand. "He's outside, leveling up the war beast. Now he's using the heaven's Fury Fire Lotus to refine the sunny sunflower. Let's go take a look." In order to cover up her inconvenience in walking, Anan pulled Yu Bing's arm and slowly walked out. She found that in the distant sky, the sunny sunflower was emitting an extremely dazzling brilliance, even more intense than the sun. In the distance, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, Shui Tam Lang, and Prince of Tian Luo were all watching how Yu Yang leveled up the sunny sunflower, absorbing the experience of leveling up the war beast. Yu Yang, who had the power of Yang, turned the entire sky into a world of heaven's fury fire lotus. Tens of thousands of burning red lotuses floated in the air. After last night's body fusion with Anan, whether it was in terms of realm or energy, he had obtained greater benefits. Compared to Anan, his improvement was more obvious. It turned out that he, who was innate level 8, had advanced to innate level 9. This advancement was not as simple as the level. One must know that his innate level 8 was almost equivalent to other people's heaven stage level 3. Now that he had advanced by one level, it was undoubtedly the same as other people's heaven stage level 3 rising to heaven stage level 4. And most importantly, every time Yu Yang leveled up, his inherent skill and war beast would be strengthened to varying degrees. Sometimes, he would even obtain the Grimoire's Law as a reward for his war beast skills. Body fusion, with Anan also unsealed the tragic guy's mother's inheritance of knowledge. Although City Mistress Fallen Flowers and Sickly Beauty also had them, but the effect was still the strongest when he was body fusion with Anan. If it wasn't for the fact that Anan's body was too young and couldn't bear it, Yu Yang really wanted to cultivate with her for a longer time and unseal more mysteries of knowledge. Yu Yang, whose strength had soared, was confident that he could refine and improve the sunny sunflower. City Mistress Fallen Flowers was the main attack force. To a large extent, her combat power determined the direction of the battle. Therefore, Yu Yang decided to first improve the sunny sunflower that she had obtained. Looks like it's still early. Let's go back and take an afternoon nap. Impatience yawned and went back to take a beauty nap. Brother-in-law, you can do it. Sky Disaster, who had received the Thunder God's chain, cheered for Yu Yang excitedly. 10 minutes later, after Yu Yang's Heaven's Fury Fire Lotus's super refinement, the original sunny sunflower of Heaven Stage Level 1 had finally transformed into a scorching sunflower of Heaven Stage Level 2. Compared to the original sunny sunflower of Heaven Stage Level 1, which only had light and no attack power, the new scorching sunflower had an additional skill, and that was blind. This attack skill, which was almost impossible to harm, made people lose their vision for a short period of time, blind, although it seemed useless. In fact, if this blind skill was used skillfully, it would be the key to turning the entire battle around. In a battle between experts, even a momentary mistake would determine the winner. Strong, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others, who had their necks stretched out to see the flower, all gave a thumbs up to praise Yu Yang. Lu Yi and Bao who worshipped Yu Yang, clapped their hands and cheered excitedly. The little girl, Yu Shuang, was holding an iced cantaloupe in one hand and nibbling on it while nodding her head. Her small appearance was indescribably cute. However, Yu Yang was not satisfied with this result. He turned the Heaven's Fury Fire Lotus in the sky into Twilight Flame, took out the remaining pure blue fire body from last time, and tried to fuse it with the scorching sunflower. Continuing to improve, he wanted to make the scorching sunflower evolve again. Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, and the others were dumbstruck. If it wasn't Yu Yang and it was someone else, they would definitely think that the other party was a madman. The war beast had just evolved. Could it evolve again? Impossible. And what was even more impossible was that the Twilight Flame was the opposite of the Heaven's Fury Fire Lotus. An hour passed, and Yu Yang, who felt more tired than a life and death battle, made his last effort. If he didn't succeed, then he would have to give up. Could it be that the scorching sunflower was already the highest state of the sunny sunflower? Could it be that the scorching sunflower had turned into twilight? I believe in you. You will definitely succeed. City Lord Fallen Flowers no longer waited on the ground. She flew into the sky and hugged Yu Yang with both arms, using her own energy to support his efforts. It was unknown whether it was because of the support of City Lord Fallen Flowers or because Yu Yang suddenly had a burst of inspiration, or because the scorching sunflower had really reached the critical point of evolution. 3 minutes later, the light in the sky gradually dimmed. Everyone could see that the sunflower was still shining like the sun, but there was no brilliance. It was like a golden moon with an incomparably soft color. In the end, the light grew weaker and weaker. An even more powerful aura enveloped the entire earth. It was as if there was only the darkened sunflower left in the world, and it was everywhere under its illumination. Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others saw that the moment the sunflower successfully evolved, the sky and earth darkened. When the scorching sunflower officially evolved into the twilight flower, even Fan Luan Tai, who was the most warlike in his heart, felt as if he had seen all the vicissitudes of the world. He was dejected, tired, and powerless, and wanted to return to his homeland. He couldn't raise his fighting spirit at all, and was deeply affected by the new special skill of the twilight flower. Oh my God, this skill is a mental attack. Yi Kong reacted and cried out in alarm. Fatty Hai, whose mental defense was slightly weaker than his, was still sitting on the ground like an old man. It wasn't until the wind breath seabird woke him up with a wind blade that he realized he was affected by the twilight. Can you give me a twilight flower as well? As a boss, it's impossible to not have a sunflower with you. Fatty Hai asked shamelessly. Give me 20 million Heaven Realm gold coins, and I'll buy one for you. Yu Yang's answer was like this. Then forget it. Fatty Hai knew that even if he cut off his fat and sold it, he wouldn't be able to sell it for 20 million. So he directly dispelled this idea. Impatience, who had a good afternoon nap, discovered that Yu Yang had turned the sunny sunflower into the scorching sunflower, and then the twilight flower into the twilight flower. He still felt that it was not enough, and still wanted to continue. He couldn't help but ask Yu, is this kid stupid? Was he too excited from yesterday's bridal chamber? So when he woke up, his mind was a little abnormal? He has already evolved twice, and now the sunny sunflower has changed from the first level of Heaven Stage to the third level of Heaven Stage. Does he still want to continue? Chapter 659. Yu couldn't answer Impatience's question, and she didn't want to discuss the issue of her brother's bridal chamber. Can it still be turned? Even Yu Bing, who admired Yu the most, felt a little strange. There's another possibility in theory. Princess Sisai, who came after hearing the news, replied. Really? Lu Yi and Bao came over curiously. Sunny Sunflower had risen to scorching sun and then turned to twilight. They felt that it was already the limit of the limit. Could it still be turned? What kind of flame in the world could make the twilight flower continue to rise? Nirvana heart. Shui Wuxiao thought for a moment and nodded. If I can use Nirvana flame to refine it and become like the spirit of heaven fire, I might succeed. The spirit of heaven fire was an accident. This time, even Yu cried out in alarm. Although the birth of the spirit of heaven fire was an accident, her previous self was the tavern girl who sacrificed herself for fourth mother and the little girl. The spirit of heaven fire could not be copied. Could it be that Yu Yang wanted to use Nirvana flame to refine this twilight flower? Wasn't he afraid of burning the sunflower to ashes? Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others were sweating profusely. They were all nervous for Yu Yang. If the twilight flower of Heaven Stage Level 3 was destroyed, not to mention City Lord Fallen Flowers, they would also die of heartache. The current twilight flower was already very powerful. It was at the third level of Heaven Stage. It was already one of the highest level war beasts, one level higher than the Charm Demon Queen of Skylaw. You must not destroy it, otherwise all your previous efforts will be in vain. Of course, it was impossible for them to say such words to Yu Yang. Firstly, Yu Yang had a bad temper. He would do what he said, and he might not listen even if they persuaded him. Secondly, they also wanted to witness the birth of this miracle. No matter how small the possibility of success was, they were willing to believe in Yu Yang. In his hands, the miracles created were innumerable. This time, he would definitely succeed. Everyone was looking forward to it. The only problem was that Yu Yang's innate qi was almost depleted, and he was mentally exhausted. Would he be able to hold on until the moment he successfully refined the twilight sunflower? Normally, Yu Yang could rest and recover before continuing. However, he could not do so now. It was not just Yu Yang. Everyone else had the same feeling. Now is the best time. If the twilight flower was completely stabilized, then it could be upgraded. He believed that even if he succeeded, the price he had to pay would be more than 10 times what it was now. That would be even more difficult. Therefore, no matter how tired Yu Yang was, he could only grit his teeth and persevere. City Lord Fallen Flowers, who was supplying energy to Yu Yang, was drenched in sweat. She asked for help from the crowd. Everyone come. Hang in there. Princess Sisai soared into the sky and rushed over. Next, it was Shui Wuxia. Not only them, but also Impatience, Inan, Haiying Wu, Yu Yu Bing, Drunken Cat, and even Sky Calamity all flew up, hand in hand, to support Yu Yang. After receiving the energy of the girls, the exhausted Yu Yang recovered a lot. He immediately used his mind to control the Nirvana flame, turning the Nirvana flame into a fire phoenix. Circling around the twilight flower, try to make the twilight flower fuse with the Nirvana flame. However, wherever the Nirvana fire phoenix passed, the twilight flower melted like ice in the face of raging flames, completely unable to withstand the power of the Nirvana flame. The Nirvana flame was, after all, the #1 flame in the world. There was nothing in the world that could resist it. If it weren't for the support of Yu Yang's innate qi and the support of the girl's negative energy, the twilight flower would have been destroyed into ashes long ago. Even if Yu Yang drew the heaven rune formation on its surface, it would not be able to resist the purification power of the Nirvana flame. Under the Nirvana flame, the twilight blossoms gradually perished. Give up? Yu Yang was very unwilling. If he could succeed, then he would have this kind of successful experience in the future and continue to replicate this method of leveling up his own beasts. If he gave up now, then it would mean that this research direction would be blocked in the future. But if he didn't give up, the twilight flower would die. First of all, it wouldn't be able to hold on. You're such a big idiot. Chilling Girl Bing suddenly came out. When she saw that Yu Yang was using the Nirvana flame to refine the twilight flower, she was happy and angry. Ah, can't you refine it like this? Yu Yang was stunned. Who told you? The Nirvana flame can even completely destroy the soul. Not to mention a sunflower, even the Eastern Goblin tribe, or even stronger life, can't accept this kind of refining. The two are not on the same level at all. You're using a divine weapon to chop firewood. You should use an axe to chop firewood, idiot, the Chilling Girl said and laughed. Why didn't you say so earlier? Yu Yang was angry. I've been busy for a long time, and you just said no? I was resting just now. How would I know that you would do such a stupid thing? Chilling Girl Bing pretended not to see Yu Yang's angry eyes. If it weren't for everyone watching, Yu Yang would definitely catch this girl and spank her, but to let her know what it meant to be obedient. It's a waste of a lot of effort. If I stop, it's a bit of a waste. Seeing that I'm in a good mood, I'll help you out of kindness. There's no next time. Chilling Girl Bing saw Yu Yang's angry face. She felt very good and said slowly. Yu Yang originally wanted to give her a slap on her little butt. Now that he heard it, his anger immediately disappeared. He wanted to hug this Chilling girl and kiss her. What he was waiting for was her words. As long as he could succeed, it was okay to let her be proud for 2 minutes. When no one was around, he would spank her, but Chilling Girl Bing pulled Yu Yang's big hand and bit her index finger with her little tiger teeth. Yu Yang almost got angry with the pain. He felt that this Chilling girl must be taking revenge. Last time, because he was too impulsive, he hit her little butt in the quarrel. As a result, she was so angry that she didn't come out for a few weeks. This time, she must be taking revenge in public. Otherwise, she wouldn't bite so hard. Just wait. Next time you fall into my hands, I'll make you pay. Yu Yang threatened the Chilling girl with his eyes. Humph, I'm not afraid of you. Chilling Girl Bing ignored the fierce eyes, squeezed blood from Yu Yang's finger, and drew a mysterious rune array on the flower of the twilight flower. Yu Yang didn't see it clearly. The rune array played a role, flashed a bright light, and strangely connected with the Nirvana flame, burned fiercely, and finally integrated into the body of the twilight flower, went deep into the soul, and became the origin of its soul. It was similar to the spirit of heaven fire's origin, which was a trace of nirvana flame, but not exactly the same. Yang didn't have time to think too much. The whole twilight flower was gasifying, and the whole body was on fire, turning into a raging flame, and then the nirvana flame was born in the raging flame. At the same time, with the nirvana flame as the core, the heaven's fury fire lotus, the twilight flame, and the pure fire blue body were born. The heaven's fury fire lotus was the outer flame light, the twilight flame was the flower stem, and the pure fire blue body was the leaf. The perfect combination of the three was the petals. The core was the nirvana flame. The twilight flower, which had completely faded and shrunk 10 times, had now evolved into the heaven stage level 5 nirvana sunflower. Yi Kong and Fatty Hai were completely dumbfounded to be able to jump 2 levels in the heaven stage. Was this a dream? Now, this nirvana sunflower, not to mention attack, even if it was defense, how many war beasts in the world could attack it? With the nirvana flame as the core, the heaven's fury fire lotus, the twilight flame, and the pure fire blue body, what power in the world could kill it? The city lord of fallen flowers, who was almost suffocated with joy, looked at the summoning grimoire that was hanging in the air. When she saw the contents displayed, she immediately screamed excitedly. Nirvana Sunflower, Elemental Guardian Beast, Platinum Ranked Level 10, equivalent to Heaven Stage Level 5, Elemental Body, King of Sunflowers, immune to biological attack damage, weakens restrain attribute attacks, petals never wither, energy automatically restores itself in any space of flames and light, possesses special skills blind, twilight, nirvana flower wheel. What made City Lord of Fallen Flowers the happiest was not getting a Heaven Stage Level 5 War Beast, but a Guardian War Beast. In the world, the most precious thing was a Guardian War Beast. Even if it looked like trash on the surface, it would never betray or die. There was nothing more valuable than nurturing a Guardian War Beast. Whoa! City Lord of Fallen Flowers was so excited that tears streamed down her face. She threw herself into Yu Yang's arms, her shoulders shaking as she cried. Suddenly, she raised her head and kissed him in front of everyone, kissing him until he almost suffocated. Finally, she let go of him and screamed happily, "Ah, I'm so happy! Nirvana Sunflower. I have the one and only Nirvana Sunflower in the world." How did it become a Guardian War Beast? Shui Wuxiao looked at Qilin Girl Bingyin, hoping that she could give an answer. I don't know either. Qilin Girl spread her hands, indicating that she was also confused. It's probably related to this kid's blood. Princess Sisai looked at Yu Yang, her eyes a little like a mad scientist who cut people into pieces for research. Yu Yang felt a chill in his heart. He quickly hugged his bride Anan and slipped away. Yu Yang also felt that it had something to do with his own blood, but he was not sure. He wanted to find a suitable time to meet Queen Vivian Li and ask all the questions in his heart. He believed that Queen Vivian Li, the Conquest Empress, would definitely have the answer. Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, and the others felt tired at this time. They all sat on the ground, shocked and excited in their hearts. If Yu Yang could successfully copy this secret method and improve everyone's war beast one by one, even if it was not as abnormal as Nirvana Sunflower, it would be enough to be like Scorching Sunflower or Twilight Flower. At that time, why would anyone be afraid of innate? He believed that even those unreachable heaven-rank powerhouses would be able to fight against them. After all, the strength of the master was directly related to the strength of the war beast. The stronger the war beast, the stronger the master. With Yu Yang's progress, the more he comprehended and mastered, the stronger the war beast would be in his hands. That was certain. It seemed that everyone had to hurry up and cultivate. Otherwise, not to mention Yu Yang himself, even the war beast would disappear without a trace. Thinking of this, Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others looked at each other. Their originally tired bodies were immediately injected with a trace of excitement. One by one, they jumped up, clenched their fists, slowly opened their stance, and began a new round of cultivation. Yu Yang's strength had increased, the strength of the war beast had increased, and all kinds of improvements had increased the pressure on them. Even though they had already trained hard for a few hours, they still felt that it was far from enough. Let's go back to Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai also looked at each other and nodded tacitly. They also had to go back to cultivate. In order to speed up their progress and follow Yu Yang, they were actually the most diligent. Night Empress, she also saw the hope of catching up to Ji Zun and Yu Yang, pinned on them. Yu Yu, on the other hand, was a little conflicted because Yu Yang had said that he would give her the spirit of radiance and use it to fuse with his angel's blade to improve his war beast. What should she do? Chapter 660. Yu Clan Castle. Outside the castle, with the surrounding mountains as the foundation, plains and valleys as the lake, a divine dragon underground palace was dug. It was estimated that a dragon god shrine would be built in the middle of the lake. This huge project, if carried out by humans alone, would probably take at least a few decades to complete. But Her Majesty, the Ocean Empress of the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower, had supported 300,000 craftsmen. In addition, the Underworld Clan, Eastern Goblin Tribe, Golden Elves, Dwarves, and other races of the Dark Continent had sent a large number of representatives to support the project. If the manpower from De Xia and Tian Luo were added, the number of construction workers would exceed 1 million. Although the original target of construction was 3 years, even a blind man could see that with the power of 1 million people, this miraculous divine dragon underground palace and dragon god shrine would be born outside the Yu Clan castle within a year. For such a huge project, there was no reason for the various forces of Tong Tian Tower not to respond. It turned out that the demon Abyss, who had been fighting with the soaring dragon continent for thousands of years, had sent peace envoys for the first time. The demon kings had sent a letter of credence. It was even said that they would send the demon Abyss princess to make peace. Of course, this could only be hidden from the ordinary people. Those who knew a little inside information knew that the demon kings of the demon Abyss had long been allies with the Yu Clan third young master. When they were fighting against the Black Hell King, both sides were already solid allies. However, the shocking action of the demon Abyss officially sending peace envoys and princess to marry far away still shocked the people of the soaring dragon continent. Those man-eating devils actually worshipped humans and made peace with them? What kind of concept was this? It was like a burly man who had been beating up a frail scholar all day suddenly stopped, and even said that he wanted to marry his daughter to the frail scholar as a concubine. For thousands of years, the demon Abyss had been a lingering nightmare in people's hearts. Now, the people's fear made the princess to make peace. It was all washed away. The people of the soaring dragon continent had an indescribable sense of pride in their hearts, a sense of superiority towards demons. Even if the reason why the demon Abyss worshipped humans was because of the Yu Clan third young master and had nothing to do with ordinary people, they still felt proud. The Yu Clan's third young master was a human, not a demon. He had the ability to subdue demons. That was the pride of humans. Of course, if the mercenaries had been to Tong Tian Tower, especially those who had been to the 3rd floor of Tong Tian Tower, they would have already known that the demon Abyss and the soaring dragon continent had stopped fighting. The previously blood-soaked lines of soldiers had now become prosperous trade routes for merchants. The most belligerent demon clan and soaring dragon clan stopped fighting and made peace with each other. This was not good news for the other forces in Tong Tian Tower. This meant that the demons would turn their spears around and attack other targets. Many of the big and small forces that were in the target of the attack sent their special envoys to visit the soaring dragon continent. If they could form an alliance, they should form an alliance. If they couldn't, they should try to establish a good relationship with them and engage in trade. As long as the benefits of both sides were linked, even if the demon clan wanted to invade, they would still have some misgivings. Of course, there were exceptions to everything, such as the Radiance Continent on the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower. The Senate of the Radiance Continent was not worried about the invasion of the Devil race. He was a little worried about the Darkness Continent's Netherworld race. When they heard the good news that the Emperor of the Underworld had decided to cultivate in seclusion for a long time, striving to break through to heaven rank, they suddenly regained their confidence. It was not easy to break through to heaven rank. Whether the Emperor of the Underworld could succeed or not, let's not talk about it for the time being. Even if he succeeded, they, who had a secret alliance with a mercenary from the Heaven Realm, were not afraid at all. The Senate of the Radiance Continent was even confident that they could cultivate a new generation of heaven-ranked Sky Emperor in the near future. The reason was that the Heaven Realm mercenary had signed many secret agreements with them. One of them was to help the Radiance Continent to cultivate no less than 3 heaven rank rankers. As long as they did not directly confront the Yu Yang Third Young Master, the Senate was not afraid of any forces, even if it was the Underworld clan of the Dark Continent that had been fighting for thousands of years and the Sea clan that had risen again because of the Yu clan Third Young Master, not to mention the Demon Abyss that was only at the lowest floor of Tong Tian Tower. Your Majesty, I am the Senate's special envoy, Genie. The special envoy, who had the strength of innate level 6, was very proud. He was actually unwilling to bow to Jun Wuyu, who was lower than the innate realm. In the face of the various envoys who came to form an alliance, he also stood proudly, like a crane among chickens. Impudent. Feng Kuang, the commander of the Imperial Guards, was so angry that his eyes were spitting fire. This envoy is talking to His Majesty. You're just a little general. Don't tell me that you don't even know this little bit of etiquette when you are standing in the palace of the Great Xia. Facing the angry gazes of the crowd, Jin Yi, the envoy, ignored them indifferently. He felt that he and the Guangming continent did not need to ask for help from each other. Moreover, he had secretly reached an agreement with the Heaven Realm mercenaries. He himself had to express a bit of a strong diplomatic stance and show goodwill to the forces behind the Heaven Realm mercenaries. He did not want to make a two-faced move. After all, compared to the forces behind the Heaven Realm mercenaries, the Great Xia was just a weak existence. Moreover, what made the Golden Wing envoy feel fearless was that his own strength was far superior to the experts around him, and he felt that he should be superior. In Tong Tian Tower, strength was respected, wasn't it? However, Jin Yi did not know that even if the innate level 10 Emperor of the Underworld personally came, he would still greet Jun Wuyu, not daring to be honorable. For a small envoy like him to have such an arrogant attitude, how could it not make Feng Kuang and the others furious? Who was Jun Wuyu? In addition to being the elder of the Yu clan's 3rd young master, he was also the father-in-law of the Yu clan's 3rd young master. Looking down on him was equivalent to looking down on the Yu clan's 3rd young master. Moreover, the elders present included Yu Yang's teacher, Shui Dong Lu, his grandfather, Elder Yu Hai, and many other elders. Not to mention that a small envoy was so contemptuous. Even if the emperors of the major forces came in person, they would have to pay their respects one by one to show their respect. How many Yu clan's 3rd young master were there in the world? One and only. To be able to cultivate an elder of the Yu clan's 3rd young master. If that honor was not respected, then what else was there to respect? Looking down on the Great Xia Emperor was tantamount to provoking the entire Great Xia. The envoys of several surrounding forces all sneered secretly. Don't think that the Guangming continent was still the Guangming continent of the past. The previous Sky Emperor Ba Yi was dead. The Guangming continent did not hide its strength and keep a low profile. Other than those arrogant fellows of the Guangming continent, everyone knew that the Yu clan's 3rd young master was definitely not a person who could be bullied. The envoy of the Guangming continent dared to slap Jun Wuyu's face that was simply looking for abuse. Golden Wing envoy, standing on top of the Great Xia Palace and roaring at the Great Xia Imperial Guard commander. Is this the so-called civilized etiquette of the Guangming continent's envoy? The envoy from the Dark Continent opened fire at the first moment. She still wanted to find fault with the Golden Wing, but she did not expect this arrogant fellow to bring about his own destruction. This envoy disdains to talk to the evil people of the Dark Continent. The Golden Wing discovered that the strength of the Dark Ghost was slightly weaker than his own, and he was full of courage to ridicule. The words and deeds of the Guangming continent's envoy have really opened this old man's eyes. Elder Xingpan of the Sea Clan also joined the Golden Wing army. Stupid Birdman. This was the words of the Oxhead Shaman, who was not afraid of power and ignored the Guangming continent. What a disgusting fellow. This was the Dwarf King, who was outspoken and outspoken. You weak rats, how dare you speak so arrogantly to this envoy? You should know that if I wasn't an envoy, I could kill you ants with a single finger. Get lost. In front of this envoy, you have no right to speak. The Golden Wing was furious. You guys are not even innate. What are you so arrogant about? If it weren't for the envoy, he would have slapped you to death. Of course, he could think like this in his heart, but it was a bit too much to say it out loud. This time, even the elves' moon high priest, who had the best temper, furrowed his golden brows. Golden Wing Envoy, first of all, on behalf of the great Xia Kingdom, I welcome you and the Guangming continent you represent. However, I want to remind you that this is the palace of the great Xia dynasty. Even the innate experts and kings have to pay attention to etiquette. As a special envoy, your words and deeds represent the Guangming continent. It's best not to have words and deeds beyond the envoy's words and deeds. Otherwise, we will regard your words and deeds as the diplomatic attitude of the Guangming continent. Jun Wuyo still had a smile on his face. He was a political expert. It was childish for the Golden Wing to play tricks with him. Of course, he would not be angry with the arrogance of the Golden Wing. He was waiting for an opportunity. As long as the Golden Wing made a diplomatic failure, that would be the time for him to get angry. Previously, Yu Yang had mentioned to him that it was best to find an excuse to let the soaring dragon and the Guangming continent become enemies, take the opportunity to invade the Guangming continent, and explore the secrets of the spacecraft there. At that time, Jun Wuyo had been waiting for an opportunity. Now that he saw that the Golden Wing was so cooperative, he certainly would not let it go. The Guangming continent turned out to be very annoying. The Sky Emperor Ba, he was already dead, but he still didn't know how to restrain himself. After Yu Yang learned about the spacecraft from Zhongguan, Bai Ma, and He Tu, he had the intention to explore the secrets there. Now he just needed an excuse. The younger generation of the Soaring Dragon had no chance to train. The Demon Abyss had no goal. The Underworld race had no chance to retaliate. The rise of Haiying Wu needed to make a name for herself. The Easter Goblin tribe wanted to get close to Yu Yang, but they had no chance to show their goodwill. The emergence of the Guangming continent was the best result. According to the words of the old fox, Yu Yang's move was to bring disaster to the east. The Soaring Dragon continent and the Demon Abyss no longer fought. They must have a goal. The Guangming continent was the best target. The diplomatic attitude of our Guangming continent is neutral. We cannot ask about the covenant between you, but your target of attack must not be the interests of our Guangming continent. The diplomatic attitude brought by the Golden Wing was the bottom line decided by the Senate. If the Golden Wing's attitude was good before, it didn't sound so excessive. But now, it sounded like a threat to the Guangming continent, not a neutral one. Do you think you are still the righteous emissaries of the past? Don't make people laugh. The ghost of the Dark Continent sneered again and again. Tong Tian Tower is not yet the Guangming continent's turn to divide it. Elder Xingpan also shook his head and refused. This envoy is here to warn you that as long as you interfere with the interests of our Guangming continent, attack our allies, and invade our vassal countries, the Guangming continent will not hesitate to send troops. The Golden Wing was a tough diplomatic ambassador, and he insisted on his principles. Of course, this insistence was related to the fact that he knew that the Guangming continent had the support of the Heaven Realm mercenaries. What are you arguing about? If you have the guts, then send troops. Why are you talking nonsense here? Didn't anyone tell you that you're a fool? A voice sounded behind the Golden Wing. Chapter 661. What? You dare to slander me? Golden Wing found a handsome young man with sharp eyebrows and starry eyes walking in from outside the hall and immediately flew into a rage. A human youth who was not even an innate actually dared to mock him. an innate level 6 innate ranker. If it was the Yu clan's third young master who could kill a heaven stage ranker, it would be fine for him to say a few words. But now, a student from an unknown school, wearing a school uniform and a school badge, wanted to challenge him. Go away. I'm too lazy to talk to trash like you. The young man cupped his hands to Jun Wuyo. Your Majesty, some time ago, I took in some dwarves. After a few days of communication, I think it's better to let you command them. All right. Jun Wuyo nodded. Your Majesty, I still have things to do. Goodbye. The young man bowed slightly again. Stop right there. Golden Wing didn't want to cause trouble, but seeing the young man's attitude, he couldn't hold back his anger. There was a Yu clan's third young master in the soaring dragon continent. Yes, the Yu clan's third young master was very powerful and awesome, but it didn't mean that all young people could ignore others like the Yu clan's third young master. Tong Tian Tower was still based on strength. A student who hadn't even left the school gate, perhaps because he was an alumnus of the Yu clan's third young master, was so arrogant. No matter what, he was still an innate level 6 ranker, and he was insulted. Did he want to leave without apologizing? If this was not the Dexiao Palace, but the Guangming continent, Golden Wing felt that the most merciful thing to do was to break the other party's legs and make the other party kneel in front of him like a dog and beg for his life. Otherwise, he would never forgive him. Before Golden Wing became angry, he actually thought about it, not blindly impulsive. If the young man in front of him was the Yu clan's third young master, then he was courting death. If he was the Yu clan's third young master's teammate, it would not be good either. But Golden Wing was sure that this man was not the Yu clan's third young master, because apart from his appearance, he did not look like the Yu clan's third young master, and his strength was not even at the innate realm. The Yu clan's third young master was a super ranker who could even kill a heaven ranker. Even if he restrained his aura, he would still have a kind of supreme dignity that could suppress the world. This young man did not have this kind of dignity. His body was emitting an inferior, innate aura that was even weaker than the young elites of the Guangming continent. This kind of aura might be very powerful for humans, but for the winged race warriors of the Radiance continent, they were everywhere. Any adult winged race warrior was stronger than this young man. This young man was not the Yu clan's third young master, nor was he his teammate. It was impossible for him to be Fatty Hai, Yi Kong, Shuetan Lang, the Li brothers, Prince of Tian Luo, or even one of the team members mentioned in the report. Perhaps he was a student from Shangjing Academy or Ivy Academy, or even a disciple from the Feng clan or the Royal clan. Golden Wing had already thought of this. It was impossible for a young man to enter the hall without a backer. Killing him? That was impossible. However, she had to think of a way to humiliate him so that Jun Wuyu couldn't do anything to her. That was what she needed to do. You want to hit me? The young man moved his face over in a very annoying manner. His expression was as if he was trying to punch him. To be honest, he really didn't dare to hit him. If he punched him, maybe the Yu clan's third young master, who was hiding behind him, would jump out and kill him in a second. This envoy has no such intention. It's just that the Guangming continent intends to establish diplomatic relations with the Great Xia dynasty. We need a diplomatic ambassador to witness the signing of diplomatic relations in front of the Senate. If you have the guts, do you dare to be this diplomatic ambassador? Young man, don't tell this envoy that you're just a coward who lives by your mouth. Do you dare to go to the Guangming continent? Well, this envoy can't force you. We can't count on a coward who will piss his pants in fright to establish diplomatic relations with us. Golden Wing sneered and lured the young man into a trap. I would even dare to go to the Heaven Realm. The Guangming continent is nothing. The young man was really impulsive and immediately became angry. Don't be impulsive. Jun Wuyu was still a little hesitant. Don't say that this guy has already issued a letter of challenge. It's clear that he wants to scare me to the point of peeing my pants. Even if he doesn't, I can't back down. Your Majesty, if you don't agree, then I'll just commit suicide. In the eyes of Golden Wing, the young man belonged to the kind of hot-blooded and impulsive young man who didn't know the immensity of heaven and earth. Alas, all right. Jun Wuyu had to answer. Let's go. Let's see how you scare me to the point of peeing my pants. The young man's reaction made Golden Wing very satisfied. Junwoo was very difficult to deal with, but this kind of hot-headed young man could be played around at any time. He took the young man, who was said to be called Iraq, back to the Guangming continent. Without hurting the opponent, he used all kinds of means to hit him. Neglect and coldness, intimidation and threats, all kinds of words and deeds that didn't leave a trace, all kinds of words and deeds that could make the other party angry were used. While Golden Wing was secretly happy, he observed the other party's attitude. He gradually became sure that although the young man was furious, he still insisted on not losing the country's image and listened to Junwoo's instructions. Golden Wing thought that he would tear up the diplomatic letter in anger, but he didn't expect that he never did. No matter how angry the kid was, he didn't officially turn his face. Golden Wing asked the servant to bring a pot of pig food to the other party as a treat. Although the young man was so angry that he smashed the house, he didn't leave the Guangming continent. All kinds of reports went up. After the Senate analyzed them, they came to a conclusion. The emperor of the Xia dynasty didn't want to go to war with the Guangming continent, so he had been patient. Now that he knew the other party's trump card, Golden Wing was even more impolite. He directly starved the young man for a long time. Then, when the other party was waiting outside the Senate, he maliciously summoned an ice rain, drenching the young man. Even so, the young man still didn't leave. The elders of the Senate were even more convinced that the Xia dynasty didn't have enough strength to challenge the Guangming continent. When they met the young man, Iraq, one by one, their attitude was even more arrogant. They used a mocking tone all the way to reject the decision to establish diplomatic relations with the Xia dynasty. They put forward the conditions. If the Xia dynasty wanted to establish diplomatic relations with the Guangming continent, it must agree to the 3 conditions and the 10 points of agreement of the Guangming continent. When the soaked young man walked out of the Senate with this humiliating letter, a guard also sneak attacked him and kicked off the envoy's staff in the young man's hand. When the young man bent down to pick up the envoy's staff, he stared at Golden Wing with hatred and anger in his eyes and said, "I will come back and return your hospitality today 1,000,000 times." This sentence made the guards laugh. As for Golden Wing, he already knew the trump card of the Xia dynasty's emperor, Junwoo, who was bent on seeking peace. He didn't care about the harsh words of an envoy at all. What was the point of humiliating an envoy? Disrespecting the emperor in the Xia dynasty's palace, Junwoo didn't have any reaction. Did a human emperor living at the bottom of the Tong Tian Tower dare to challenge the experts of the 10th floor of the Tong Tian Tower? Except for the 3rd young master of the Yu clan, there was no one else in the entire Soaring Dragon continent. Half a day later, Elder Nangong of the Innate Alliance suddenly came. He brought a declaration of war. From today onwards, the Xia dynasty declared war on the Guangming continent Senate and all the forces controlled by its subordinates. Unless the life of the Guangming continent was reduced to slaves, it would not stop until death. On the declaration of war, there were also the Tianluo kingdom of the Soaring Dragon continent, the Dark Continent's underworld clan, the Eastern Goblin tribe, the Demon Abyss, the Sea clan, dozens of other forces, even the Thunder Fortress and the Titan Chamber of Commerce on the 6th floor of the Tong Tian Tower, declared war on the Guangming continent at the same time. This declaration of war made the elders of the Senate's scalp tingle, and Golden Wing was even more dumbstruck. "Mr. Nangong, is there a mistake in this declaration of war? We just established diplomatic relations with the Xia dynasty today." Golden Wing asked anxiously. If it's something important, how could this old man make a mistake? This was personally handed to this old man by the Yu clan's 3rd young master, and it also has the signatures of the leaders of the various clans. Elder Nangong said that this declaration of war was an ironclad fact. Reason? What's the reason for declaring war? Golden Wing fainted. What did the Guangming continent do wrong? Was he disrespectful to the Xia dynasty's emperor? Cough. This old man is here to say that your actions have caused the world to look askance at you, so the Innate Alliance has refused to mediate for you. All the consequences of your actions will be borne by you. Before Elder Nangong left, he said, The reason why the Xia dynasty and the various clans declared war is that you have greatly insulted the Yu clan's third young master, the special envoy who came to negotiate on their behalf. In order to recover the dignity and honor that the Yu clan's third young master deserves, the experts of all clans will enter your Guangming continent endlessly until all of you surrender and become slaves, until the anger of the Yu clan's third young master is eliminated. It was you who refused the kindness of a Yu clan's third young master. Please remember this serious historical lesson. Never insult an envoy, because he represents the dignity of a country and a race. He is the Yu clan's third young master. Golden Wing almost fainted. Wasn't that kid called Iraq? This Yu clan's third young master, who liked to use a fake name to deceive people everywhere, had caused him so much suffering. The Guangming continent was finished. In the Xia dynasty palace, Jun Wuyo and the old fox laughed. The Dark Continent's ambassador, Ghost Spirit, and the Sea clan's ambassador, Elder Xing Pan, looked at each other and smiled. In fact, as soon as Yu Yang entered the hall, they deliberately pretended not to recognize Yu Yang. They didn't expect that the arrogant Golden Wing really believed that Yu Yang was a student. Originally, the appearance of Yu Yang was a coincidence. They didn't expect to declare war. As a result, the Golden Wing gave everyone a reason to start a war. If other ambassadors were teased, they would at most apologize, but the Yu clan's third young master was teased like this, which was the greatest insult in the world. Even if the people of the Guangming continent wanted to explain, they couldn't open their mouths. If ordinary people knew that when a Yu clan's third young master was an envoy, the Guangming continent treated him with a pot of pig's food, what would they think? Would they accept the other party's apology? Of course not. I've wronged you. I really didn't expect those guys to be so excessive. The old fox put his arm around Yu Yang's shoulder and laughed. Sweat, I didn't eat it. There is shame, but that's on the surface. If they dare to do anything to me, I will go crazy on the spot. Why would I wait until now? Yu Yang actually wanted the Golden Wing to wave his fist. As long as the Golden Wing waved his fist, there would be enough reason to start a war. Unfortunately, there was no need to wait so long. Of course, if one were to think about it carefully, the Golden Wing's ice rain that had drenched Yu Yang's whole body could be regarded as an attack. This account would be very terrible. No wonder no one in the innate alliance was willing to stand up for the Guangming continent, including Shun Tian and the Black Prince. They were all silent to protect themselves, secretly cursing the people of the Guangming continent for being pig brains. It's none of your business for the time being. You'd better go to the water world to deal with that Yong Hui. Of course, the old fox wouldn't let Yu Yang be the first to go. If he went to the Guangming continent, then there would be nothing left for them. All right, Yu Yang really wanted to go to the water world. Not to beat Yong Hui, but to find the clever little monster and the spirit of radiance. After that, Yu Yang was also ready to enter the black hole sealed space and ask Queen Vivian Li about the heavenly realm. Chapter 662. Yu Yang didn't care what would happen to the Radiance continent. It was definitely a long process of conquest. Moreover, the birdmen of the Radiance continent were not vegetarians. They would certainly not surrender at the mere sight of the wind. Even if the various races invaded the Radiance continent, they would resist step by step. Yu Yang was not interested in conquering the Radiance continent. His real goal was to wait for the war to break out and fish in troubled waters to explore the space crack. Heaven Realm was Yu Yang's goal. For a low-level dungeon like the Guangming continent, it would be a waste of time for Yu Yang to clear it himself. It would be better to leave it to Fatty Hai and the others to level up. Of course, for the various races of Tong Tian Tower, the Radiance continent of the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower that Yu Yang was not interested in was actually a good place that made people salivate. No matter what, it was the Radiance continent of the 10th floor of Tong Tian Tower, the largest floating island in the world. Without Yu Yang's leadership to conquer the Radiance continent, the Emperor of the Netherworld, the Dragon Emperor, and the great demon kings of the demonic abyss would not have been able to form an alliance. If they wanted to conquer the Radiance continent alone, the losses would be too great, and the gains would not make up for the losses. Therefore, this matter had to be done in the name of Yu Yang. When the news came out, all the forces and chambers of commerce affiliated to the Radiance continent were scared silly. The lower-level affiliated forces quickly announced that they were leaving the alliance of the Radiance continent. The Chamber of Commerce closed, and some of the more hardcore allies also planned to withdraw to the Radiance continent to help the Alliance Master resist the enemy. The mercenaries in Tong Tian Tower's 6th floor and above were all excited. They shouted excitedly and decided to form a mercenary army to plunder all kinds of resources in the Radiance continent. The richness of the Radiance continent was no less than that of the sea race. Usually, people could only stare at it helplessly. But now, the human race, the underworld race, the devil race, the sea race, the eastern goblin tribe, and more than a dozen other races were attacking the Radiance continent together. If it didn't take this opportunity to throw stones down a well and make a big profit, when would they be able to wait? For the mercenaries to kill their way into the Radiance continent, they also had a good reason to do so. For example, they took the matter of Yu Yang's humiliation as a sign of fanfare. Kill all the birdmen, you're going too far. You actually dare to humiliate the Yu clan's 3rd young master like this. If we don't kill all those birdmen, where would our honor go? Many mercenary leaders did not even know who Yu Yang was, but it did not stop them from using this reason to send their troops. We're going to stuff countless pig fodder into Golden Wing's ass. There were also people who expressed that they were willing to bleed and sacrifice themselves for the honor of the Yu clan's 3rd young master. Joint bounty on Golden Wing. I hope everyone will donate. We want to raise 100,000 gold coins to make Golden Wing have no place in the world. A good person proposed a joint bounty. Everyone took out at least 1 silver coin and put it together as a reward for the mercenary guild to hunt down Golden Wing, the special envoy of the Radiance continent. Needless to say, as soon as the slogan was released, there was an endless wave of responses. Very soon, 100,000 gold coins were gathered. With a great reward, there will surely be brave men. In addition to the joint bounty, several rich forces, such as the Devil Race, the Underworld Race, and the Sea Race, had offered a high bounty for all the powerful targets in the Radiance continent. In fact, the Golden Wings had risen from the original 100,000 gold to 500,000 gold. Such a high bounty caused countless mercenary leaders in the Sky Split Tower to drool. Let's not talk about whether they could kill Jean E or not. With this 500,000 bounty, at least everyone could kill their way to the Radiance continent. Waterworld. Yu Yang didn't pay attention to the Tong Tian Tower's expedition to the Radiance continent. He returned to the Waterworld. Heavy Crown, White Horse, and Black Soil were still attacking Yonghui. Are you done? Yonghui was very angry. If it was before, there were still war beasts like Fast Finger Light Tooth, Sunny Sunflower, and Spirit of Radiance. Heavy Crown and the other 2 would have already been cleaned up by him. However, he let Yu Yang snatch a few war beasts. He, who only had the Black Smokehorn Dragon left, was not the opponent of Heavy Crown and the other 2. The most important thing was that in this water world, he couldn't use his strength at the peak of the 4th level of the Heaven Realm. He could only watch himself being besieged without the possibility of fighting back. The sorrow of life was nothing more than this. For Yonghui, Heavy Crown, and the other 2 didn't have any mercy. Instead, they beat him when he was down. Every day, they besieged Yonghui, who had suffered 18 lifetimes of bad luck. When they were tired, they would take turns to rest and keep harassing him. Anyway, they wouldn't let Yonghui have a good day. Originally, the Black Smokehorn Dragon was also a powerful war beast, but in the previous battle with Yu Yang, Man and Little One Li were injured by the light of Sunny Sunflower. It was seriously injured, and its combat power was greatly reduced. Moreover, it had been fighting for days without rest and was exhausted. Fortunately, the Hell Hydras didn't take the opportunity to attack. Otherwise, Yonghui would be even more embarrassed. Yonghui couldn't remember how many times he had asked for a truce in a low voice. Heavy Crown, White Horse, and Black Soil, we had a little misunderstanding before. At that time, we were fighting, and it was normal for us to attack each other. But we should truce now and think about the future together. Are we going to be trapped in this water world forever? The third young master of the Yu family that you surrendered has left you. He can't take you out of here. Do you still count on him? Are you still going to work for him with your lives on the line? He doesn't know what you have done, and even if he knew, he would only use you. It's impossible to give you any benefits. After all, we are mercenaries of the heaven realm, not people of the Tong Tian Tower. As the saying goes, those who are not of our race must have different intentions. He will not accept you. Well said. Behind Yong Hui, Yu Yang appeared and clapped his hands. It's you? Yong Hui was shocked. It's a pleasure to have friends from afar. You don't seem to be very happy to see me. Yu Yang waved his hand, and Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, Shui Tan Lang, Prince of Tian Luo, and the others who came from the grimoire world appeared one after another. Zhongguan greets the third young master. Zhongguan, White Horse, and Black Soil were shocked. Fortunately, they weren't tempted by Yong Hui's words, otherwise they would be finished. Is this guy that Yong Hui from the Heaven Realm? He looks so ugly. With Fatty Hai's appearance, he dared to despise others. Good heaven stage. Shui Tan Lang saw Yong Hui and nodded. Kill. The Li brothers shouted excitedly. Idiot, spread out a little. There are rules of forbidding martial arts and forbidding war here. No one can make a move. We have to use war beasts to attack. Yi Kong quickly let everyone summon war beasts and attack Yong Hui together. In the face of this group of weak humans who were less than ants, they dared to provoke him, a peak level 4 heaven stage powerhouse. Yong Hui wanted to cry. It was really dragons in shallow water are played by shrimps. Tigers in flatland are bullied by dogs. If there were no rules of forbidding martial arts and forbidding war here, why would he be afraid of a group of small shrimps? Even if there were rules of forbidding martial arts, if he didn't let you family's third young master take away a few war beasts, leaving only the black smokehorn dragon, how could he be bullied by the weak in front of him? Zhongguan and the others were also dumbfounded. It can't be. This Yu family's third young master wants to use Yong Hui to train? A peak level 4 heaven stage powerhouse actually became a human target? Yu Yang told them, I'll leave them here. You guys look after them. If anyone loses a hair, you'll be responsible. What he meant was to let the heaven stage level 2 Zhongguan and the others babysit Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and the others. Although Yong Hui was already trash, he still had the black smokehorn dragon under him. If he attacked desperately, even if he couldn't kill Yi Kong, Fatty Hai, and Shui Tan Lang, it was still possible to kill Yin Pajun, Feng Qisha, the Orc Girl, and the others. Yu Yang brought Yi Kong and the others here for the purpose of training, to let them feel the pressure of a heaven stage powerhouse, and to use this opportunity to improve as soon as possible. Apart from the water world, where else could they fight with a heaven stage powerhouse without dying? If it was somewhere else, Yong Hui, the big boss in human form, could kill all of Yi Kong and the others in a second. Yong Hui almost cried. What a bully. It was fine to let the weak gang up on him, but to let 3 heaven stage powerhouses be babysitters, how could he bully others like this? He might as well make himself stand still and take a beating. Understood. Zhongguan and the others now had no consciousness of being a heaven stage powerhouse and responded loudly. They saw the situation very accurately. The title of a heaven stage powerhouse couldn't be used as a meal. In front of Yu Clan's third young master, if you were a dragon, you had to coil up. If you were a tiger, you had to lie down. If you wanted to put on the airs of a heaven stage powerhouse in front of him, you were looking for abuse. It was also good to be a sparring partner now. If they had a good relationship with Yu Clan's third young master, they would definitely have a good life in the future. As for Yong Hui's reaction, was that important? For the future of the 3 of them, they had to sacrifice Yong Hui. Zhongguan and the others pretended not to see Yi Kong and the others' war beasts. They only ordered their own war beasts to entangle the black smokehorn dragon, and the rest was to watch the show. Anyway, Yong Hui was at the peak of the 4th level of Heaven Stage. No matter how many people besieged him, he would not die. The attack of a human innate powerhouse was equivalent to tickling him. Have you guys fought enough? Yong Hui was so angry that he almost died. With such little attack power, they dared to provoke him. A Heaven Stage powerhouse? The strength of the human warriors here was not even 1/10,000th of Yu Clan's third young master. God knows how they became Yu Clan's third young master's teammates. A Heaven Stage powerhouse is really thick-skinned. Fatty High ordered the little hippopotamus to use the hippopotamus meteor fist while sighing shamelessly. This is the water. My King Kong demon ape and Herculean rhinoceros beetle can't exert their strength. Yi Kong was very depressed. My golden mammoth can't be released, otherwise it can only swim in the water. This guy is running too fast. Can't he stop and let's beat him up? Fatty High was also a guy who was not satisfied with his words. Young Hui almost vomited blood when he heard this. What kind of people were they? Get out of the way. Shui Tanlang's battle prowess was at the top of the group, and he was the only human martial artist that Young Hui paid more attention to. His storm giant's power increased greatly in this water world, carrying with it the energy to overturn rivers and seas. Wherever it passed, it turned into frost. He runs really fast. Prince of Tian Luo's heavenly fire meteor and storm giant formed a combination of ice and fire. But Young Hui was a Heaven Stage level 4 powerhouse, so he couldn't hit him at all. In fact, not only them, even Zhong Guan and the others, who were also Heaven Stage powerhouses, could rarely hit Young Hui directly. How could Young Hui, who was at the peak of Heaven Stage level 4, be a simple person? After fighting for a long time, Yi Kong and Fatty High were as tired as dead dogs, and Young Hui was unharmed. He stood calmly in the sky, looking at everyone with a mocking gaze, except for Yu Clan's third young master, who could touch him. A Heaven Stage powerhouse is really amazing. A voice sounded behind Young Hui. It was not Yu Yang, but another person. Young Hui turned around in shock and found a super cool man staring at him with a gaze that seemed to want to devour him. He was slightly shocked. Who are you? He is the boss of Tong Tian Tower's demonic palace. Yu Yang waved his hand. Not only was the first to appear Sky Execution, but also Sky Wrath, Sky Crime, Sky Disaster, Sky Wrath, Sky Kill, and Sky Sword. Young Hui didn't look at anyone else. Looking at the murderous Sky Execution. Other than Yu Clan's third young master, only this man was his opponent. After all, Young Hui was a Heaven Stage powerhouse at the peak of Heaven Stage level 4. Even in the face of a strong enemy, he had his own pride. Heaven Stage level 2. Not bad, young man. Unfortunately, you still have a long way to go if you want to kill me. If it wasn't for Yu Yang depriving him of a few powerful war beasts, Young Hui wouldn't have said that. But now he had no right to be arrogant, especially in this water world that forbade martial arts. Sky Execution's eyes revealed a special kind of killing intent. Conquering the heaven realm is really an interesting thing. A small mercenary has such strength. The king of the heaven realm is really looking forward to it. A small mercenary? Young Hui was furious when he heard this. If it wasn't for this water world, I would have beaten fallen flowers to death. Who is a small mercenary? Sky Execution, if you don't want to make a move, why don't you let me try? In the sky, Emperor of the Underworld and another powerful but invisible dragon emperor also appeared. Emperor of the Underworld, who had actually broken through to innate sovereign not long ago, but had been hiding it from the outside world, flew in front of guild leader Young Hui inside. The experts of the heaven realm are indeed very powerful. We have always been looking at the sky from the bottom of a well. Now, it's time to break through the realm of self-restraint. The realm of innate sovereign is the beginning of martial arts. To be honest, fortunately, there is a law of forbidding martial arts here. Otherwise, I really wouldn't be able to resist a Heaven Stage powerhouse at the peak of Heaven Stage level 4. Dragon Emperor, who is also an innate sovereign level 2 like Sky Execution, was also bursting with fighting spirit. He was extremely eager to challenge strong enemies and improve. He was the same as Sky Execution. If not for the rise of Yu Yang, he would still be groping in the realm of innate sovereign level 1. However, Yu Yang had drawn out strong enemies like Black Hell King, Scarlet Emperor, and Ancient Demon King, forcing them to break through and climb to a higher realm. The appearance of Yu Yang not only made Yi Kong and Fatty High's strength surge, but even Dragon Emperor Emperor of the Underworld and Sky Execution formed a huge pressure, forcing them to explode. You guys take your time. Guild leader Young Hui, who is at the peak of Heaven Stage Level 4, is definitely not so easy to defeat. I hope you guys can learn more from him. I still have things to do, so I'm leaving. Yu Yang would not accompany Sky Execution and the others to challenge Guild leader Young Hui here. In fact, the arrival of Sky Execution, Dragon Emperor, and Emperor of the Underworld was a complete accident. He originally wanted to bring Yi Kong and Fatty Hai to practice, improve their willpower, and increase the pressure. He did not expect that Sky Execution and the others would also propose to fight against Guild leader Young Hui to improve themselves. Yu Yang pushed the boat with the current to do them favor. Brother-in-law, take me with you. Sky Disaster also followed. I'm not going to play. Yu Yang quickly declined. After he found the Spirit of Radiance and the clever little monster in the water world, he was going to see Her Majesty Queen Vivian Li. How could he bring her along? When Guild leader Young Hui saw that Yu Yang was about to leave, his heart immediately relaxed. If Yi Clan's third young master was here, he would definitely be abused. If he was not here, even if there were Heaven Stage Level 2 or Heaven Stage Level 1 Tong Tian Tower warriors, so what? He was at the peak of Heaven Stage Level 4. He would let these guys who did not know the immensity of heaven and earth see the power of the Heaven Realm warriors. Don't think that everyone could bully him. There was only one Yu Clan's third young master in Tong Tian Tower. Come, let me see what the Tong Tian Tower warriors are capable of. Guild leader Young Hui waved his hand arrogantly. He did not know that although he was not as abnormal as Yu Yang, as the first Sky Demon of the Demonic Palace, Sky Execution was not easy to deal with. If he thought that Sky Execution's level was lower than his, then he was wrong. When it's the last turn, I'll kill you. Sky Execution refused to be the first to fight. He was afraid that he could not help but kill this good practice target. There was only one black smoke horn dragon left, and Young Hui was not in the eyes of Sky Execution. The only thing that could make Sky Execution sigh was that a mere mercenary leader actually had the strength of the peak of Heaven Stage Level 4. This made him, as the first Sky Demon, feel great pressure. How many experts were there in the Heaven Realm? Chapter 663. How many rankers were there in Heaven Realm? Yu Yang brought it into the black hole sealed space. If it was in the past, Queen Vivian Li would not tell Yu Yang too much about Heaven Realm. Firstly, he was not strong enough. Even if he knew about Heaven Realm, it would be difficult for him to protect himself. Secondly, there was no way to go to Heaven Realm, so it was useless to know more. Thirdly, Queen Vivian Li's information was already 10,000 years ago. Even if some of it was the same as 10,000 years ago, most of it had probably changed beyond recognition. But now, it was not the case because Yu Yang had already entered Heaven Realm. Although it was only a few days, it was enough to make Queen Vivian Li worry. In the Heavenly Realm, it's a place where strength is everything. Things like justice and evil are just words. Justice belongs to the victor, that's all. Queen Vivian Li nodded at Yu Yang. I don't know what the situation in Heaven Realm is like now, but to be able to become the ruler of power, he must not be a true righteous person. There's an old saying in Tong Tian Tower, all politics are dirty. If this saying was used on the ruler of Heaven Realm, then it would be accurate. In the previous Tong Tian Tower, there might have been a few stubborn guys who insisted on upholding justice. Not every warrior was mercenary, but the Heaven Realm is different. If you have enough strength, the enemy who wanted to kill you in the last second can immediately become your friend. Ah, I can understand this. Yu Yang felt that it was normal. After all, the Celestial Empire was also a similar place. Little guy, I can tell you very seriously that in Tong Tian Tower, you can have friends you can trust, but in Heaven Realm, you can only trust yourself, especially when you are not strong enough. Queen Vivian Li reminded Yu Yang to be careful when he went to Heaven Realm. He must not provoke a super heaven ranker like the Lionheart King. The Lionheart King was attacked because Yu Yang released the demon dragon. Moreover, the hornless dragon had inherited the divine power of the supreme dragon god. If not for that, the Lionheart King would definitely have killed Yu Yang. Yu Yang nodded and asked curiously, Lionheart King, who was this guy in the past? Do you know him? He seems to be related to the clown, and the clown is currently eyeing Tong Tian Tower's God's ruins. Queen Vivian Li muttered to herself. He seemed to be reminiscing about the past. For a long time, he did not reply. In the end, he sighed softly. I don't know the Lionheart King. I don't have any related memories, but in the past, in the Southern Heaven Realm, I killed a Golden Griffin King. I don't know what relationship that Golden Griffin King has with the Lionheart King. Maybe he's a descendant, maybe not. The Golden Griffin King was not from the Southern Heaven Realm. He was a member of the Central Shrine. When many heaven rankers besieged me, I killed him in the Southern Heaven Realm, but that was already a long time ago. My memory is already a little fuzzy. Yu Yang hurriedly comforted Her Majesty Queen Vivian Li. It's okay. I'm just asking casually. However, even the Lionheart King is not the strongest. The Lionheart King's bounty is 40 billion. Among the people I have offended, there is an even more powerful Emperor of the Sky with a bounty of 100 billion. In addition to the 3 great leaders and the Realm Master, it's his turn. Emperor of the Sky. I should know him. Queen Vivian Li was a little familiar with the name of the sky. Do you know him? Yu Yang deliberately interrogated Zhong Guan and knew a little information about the Emperor of the Sky. After relaying it to Queen Vivian Li, she sneered. This Emperor of the Sky was just a pirate captain. When I was conquering the Southern Heaven Realm, he also used a ship to carry my legion. There should be no one else in the Southern Heaven Realm, otherwise he would not be able to get the position of Emperor. Queen Vivian Li simply disdained the 100 billion bounty of the Emperor of the Sky. She felt that if the Emperor of the Sky didn't borrow her title as the Conquest Queen, it would be impossible for him to have a bounty of 100 billion. Ah, Your Majesty, after 10,000 years, the Emperor of the Sky may have made great progress. Yu Yang sweated. Too many things could happen in 10,000 years. That's different. Everything has a limit. In other words, except for you, a special little guy, everyone's potential is very limited. No matter how much the Emperor of the Sky improves, he also has a limit, and it is impossible to exceed his potential. The progress you mentioned may be due to obtaining God's blood or martial spirit, but even with the help of God's blood and martial spirit, the progress is also limited. Queen Vivian Li guessed that the Emperor of the Sky, the pirate leader in the past, may have obtained God's blood. Otherwise, there would be no way to pull him up. Tell me about the great leaders and the Realm Master of the Heaven Realm. Why are there 3 great leaders and 1 Realm Master in the north, south, east, and west? Yu Yang asked. The Realm Master is actually a demigod, or in other words, a kind of low-level god that is fixed in the realm to maintain some kind of order. They will not start a war. They will not start a war with each other, and they will not easily start a war with outsiders. Once they die, the order of the entire realm may collapse. The Realm Master is a very boring existence. A real ranker will not be that Realm Master. Queen Vivian Li's tone. She seemed to look down on the demigod Realm Master. Then what about the 3 great leaders? Yu Yang asked again. The spokesperson of a demigod, or in other words, the successor of the demigod. Queen Vivian Li waved her hand. Among the 3 great leaders, there will definitely be a successor to take over the position of the next Realm Master. The 3 great leaders are free to move around, different from the Realm Master who lives in the Realm Master space. They are very free and often run around a train. If the 3 great leaders all die, then the Realm Master will choose a new great leader. They can be chosen from the Emperor-level rankers, or they can be nurtured separately. Sometimes, they can even be appointed by the Central God Realm. Those things are very complicated. I can't explain it to you in a short time. With your current strength, you can't beat the great leaders. Of course, I'm just asking casually. Yu Yang was slightly speechless. Not to mention the 3 great leaders and the Sky Region Emperor. Even the Lionheart King, who was 1 level lower, was far inferior. A reward of 40 billion. Compared to his own reward of 100 million. That was 400 times. Queen Vivian Li smiled and lightly kissed Yu Yang's forehead, With your cultivation speed, in a few years, you can surpass the Lionheart King. What's the hurry? We can ignore all the king level, emperor level, and even the great leaders and realm master. The truly powerful ones are still above them. The supreme dragon god you mentioned, that's the real powerful one. When Yi Yang heard this, he hurriedly asked, Supreme Dragon God, is he a god or a human? Queen Vivian, Li seemed to have known that he would ask this. She gave him a light look and then secretly laughed. Little guy, knowing too many things that are far beyond what you can currently imagine is not good. You'd better keep your feet on the ground and continue to train hard. When you reach that realm, it won't be too late for me to tell you. All right, don't look at me with that kind of pleading look. I'll tell you a little bit. Those old fellows at the Demon Dragon mentioned all exist, just like the people who sealed me. Some of them come from Tong Tian Tower, and some are experts from another space. I don't know much about them, but one thing is for sure, they don't live in Tong Tian Tower or Heaven Realm, but in a higher space. Yu Yang thought for a while. The laws of Tong Tian Tower and Heaven Realm are all set by them. Fei Wenli shook her head. No, maybe some are, but most of them are left behind from ancient times, and even ancient times. Then, can those above the demigod be called gods? Yu Yang asked this question in a roundabout way. Actually, on the surface, he wanted to inquire about the existence of gods. In fact, he wanted to know more about the old Taoist priest who kicked him to the soaring dragon continent. Was he the god that Fei Wenli mentioned? If he was, then what level was he? Why did he kick him to the soaring dragon continent? Could it be that he wanted to play an RPG? Well, god is a very general term. To the life forms at the bottom of Tong Tian Tower, an innate level 80 or 90 is already a god. To the life forms in the Heaven Realm, the three great leaders and the Realm Master are gods. That's all relative. In our eyes, the existence of a god is at least born in the ancient times. It's a super life form that grasps the power of an independent law and some kind of supreme will. Compared to these super life forms, even the three great leaders and the Realm Master of the Heaven Realm are like ants. You see, when I swept across the entire Heaven Realm, I was invincible. In the end, I was chased by a god who was only 150,000 years older than me and was born in the soaring dragon continent. In the end, he sealed me in this black hole space. Will God die? Yu Yang thought that if a super life form like God died, would he be buried in the god's ruins? Nonsense, of course he will die. Actually, a god is an innate rancor with unparalleled will. This kind of innate rancor is called the holy innate rancor. As long as a god is more powerful than another god and has more suppression power of the ancient code, then he can kill or seal the other party. Queen Vivian Li had a slip of the tongue. Isn't that the case for me? Oh, Yu Yang was dumbfounded. No, I mean my situation is similar to that. Queen Vivian Li quickly changed the topic. Actually, to truly step into the innate rancor realm and possess the sovereign's heart, an unparalleled will that is independent of the world, it can be said that he has entered the realm of God. Innate rancors are different from heaven rancors. No matter how high heaven rancors are, as long as they don't comprehend the sovereign's heart, don't possess a grimoire, an unparalleled will that is independent of the world, we won't recognize them. It's just like how you won't recognize the ancient slaughterer as an innate rancor. When you possess the sovereign's heart, you can gradually grasp the power of the ancient code. Under your will, everything will be carried out according to your will, which is the law you have set. For example, this black hole seal is a will of the ancient code. If my will is stronger than it, or if your will is stronger than it, you can easily break it. Of course, if we don't have enough strength, we can only temporarily follow this law. If we break it by force, it will cause a terrible backlash. The reason why people can't enter the god's ruins is very simple. It's not a matter of strength, but a matter of law. If there's a person who can ignore the various restrictions of the ancient code in the god's ruins, then they can easily enter. Also, the divine grimoire you mentioned is the same. The divine grimoire has its own independent law. One must have a law that surpasses it, or ignore its law, and possess that kind of power and will in order to obtain the recognition of the divine grimoire. Fei Winley had taught Yu Yang a very good lesson. Yu Yang thought for a moment and asked, "Is the divine beast in a similar situation?" Queen Vivian Li nodded slightly. "Indeed, but the supreme will of the divine beast, compared to the will of the true divine sovereign, is still a certain distance away. Moreover, it is more one-sided and limited to a certain aspect. The divine will of a truly powerful God is extremely terrifying. It's said that all living things in the world can be created with a single thought and destroyed with a single thought. Of course, such a powerful God only existed in the primordial era. It's impossible for us to see one." Yu Yang pondered for a long time. Did the old Taoist belong to the kind of creator God who could create all things with a single thought and destroy the world with a single thought? He had only given him a flying sword, and the sword's spirit inside was so powerful that no one could compare to her until now. Forget it, it was indeed very dizzy not to think too much about things that were too high. It was better to cultivate slowly first. When he raised his level, there would always be a chance to find the old Taoist. Yu Yang felt that he had been too impatient in the past. In fact, with so many advantages, he should not be impatient, but should advance steadily. Right now, even the two swords Guizong and Shuanghua had not been completely refined, and there was still the rainbow sword that had not been refined. If all of them were cultivated, what would the Lionheart King be? Void and Jiu Shao of the three great leaders of the Western Heaven Realm. What was there to be afraid of? Another point. Although he had not fully comprehended the sovereign's heart, because of the law bestowed by the card of fate, he had already begun to grasp the power of the law. In this way, he could also use divine power or divine will. The card of fate should belong to a very powerful thing. Perhaps it was a relic of the gods from ancient times. He had to study it carefully. As for why the pitiful guy's mother could enter the god's ruins, now from Queen Vivian Li's words, she must have comprehended the sovereign's heart or even a higher state of mind. She had a strong will and could eliminate the influence of various laws. Sure enough, cultivation was not a path of force. For example, the spiritual force field that Anan and the others learned from the Night Empress was very similar to the divine will training, but this kind of divine will was still very weak. That's why I said, little guy, you don't have to worry about anything right now. As long as you train slowly, with your potential, everything will come naturally. You don't have to be stubborn. Excessive stubbornness will instead affect your will and your progress. Empress Fei, when Li's words gave Yu Yang a lot of inspiration. She was afraid that Yu Yang could not understand, so she communicated with him a little. In the past, she would not be completely connected with his mind. Now, in order to let Yu Yang feel a higher will, she made a small contact with his brain waves for a second, letting him feel where his realm was. Yu Yang's vision darkened. His entire body felt as if it was being torn apart by an invisible force. A pressure that was thousands of times higher than a mountain enveloped his heart. Yu Yang now understood why the heaven stage experts, like the Lionheart King, could not comprehend the sovereign's heart. The reason was very simple. That kind of realm was not achieved by power, but by a kind of divine will. In front of this kind of divine will, even he felt smaller than an ant looking up at a mountain. Fortunately, Yu Yang himself had a strong will. Moreover, he only had a second of full contact with Queen Vivian Li's will. Otherwise, he felt that he would definitely be crushed by this kind of divine will. This kind of divine will was Queen Vivian Li's own law. It was something that was completely under her control. Yu Yang's will, to it, was a kind of alien existence. It was an existence that went against it. It was an object that the power of the law wanted to completely destroy. Yu Yang spat out a mouthful of blood. However, the brilliance in his eyes strangely shone. A will that was not there before was quietly born in the bottom of his heart. Although he did not reach the realm that surpassed the innate sovereign and directly reached the divine sovereign, Yu Yang discovered the true state of the sovereign's heart. He understood in an instant what kind of state it was. If this was not the black hole space, if Queen Vivian Li had not used her will to control the uncontrollable power in his body, The kind of terrifying power that was out of control during the process of enlightenment would be enough to destroy the entire Shangjing. The blood that Yu Yang spat out turned into energy. It was absorbed by the black hole space. However, the realm that he had comprehended was preserved forever. Sovereign, the true sovereign's heart. Even if he was still at innate level 9, he had already obtained the sovereign's heart that other heaven stage experts dreamed of. Little guy, this is just a small epiphany. In a higher realm, you will need more epiphanies. Queen Vivian Li expressed that this was just the beginning. Thank you. Yu Yang was extremely excited. He embraced Her Majesty and gave her a deep kiss. Chapter 664. After returning from Queen Vivian Li's black hole sealed space, Yu Yang sat in a daze for 3 days. Everyone almost suspected that there was something wrong with this fellow. At first, everyone thought that he was studying runes. Only later did they realize that something was wrong. So they sent Yu to ask. Yu gave a bowl of porridge to Yu Yang and asked tactfully, "Did you encounter any problems with your cultivation?" "I couldn't figure it out for a while, but after talking to everyone about it, the knot in my heart was solved." Actually, Yu still had the biggest knot in her heart, the mystery of her identity, which had not been solved yet. But she did not dare to think too much about it, and pretended not to remember the contradictory conversation between her father, Yu Shan, and fifth grandfather. Now, she pretended that nothing had happened, and came to comfort Yu Yang. She was afraid that this brother of hers would not be able to figure it out, afraid that he would be stuck in a bottleneck and not be able to walk out, making everyone worry. Of course, she believed that this smart brother of hers, there was nothing in this world that could stop him, and this small obstacle was definitely temporary. "I'm fine." Yu Yang was startled at first, then smiled and waved his hand. "I'm just trying to understand the things of the new realm." Did I sit for a long time?" 3 days. Seeing that Yu Yang had returned to normal, Yu was immediately filled with joy, and all her worries were relieved. "Gosh, I was too focused." When Yu Yang returned, he could not wait to immerse himself in the sovereign realm, and forgot to inform City Mistress Fallen Flowers and the others. He was also focused on mastering the new realm, and did not have much reaction for 3 days, so of course everyone was worried. "It's good that you're fine. You can continue. I'm just here to take a look." Yu thought that she had disturbed Yu Yang's cultivation and felt a little guilty. "I'm not in a hurry to cultivate. I just comprehended the sovereign's heart and was too excited. That's why I was like this. I promise it won't happen again." Before Yu Yang could finish, Yu had already screamed excitedly, "Sovereign's heart? You said you comprehended the sovereign's heart. Ah, great." Yu gave Yu Yang hugs one after another, and without waiting for Yu Yang to react, she immediately flew out to report the good news to City Lord Fallen Flowers and the others. In the end, it naturally caused a sensation. Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai, who were pretending to be cultivating but were secretly paying attention, dashed over. City Mistress Fallen Flowers, Aquamarine, Yu Bing, and Inan also cheered when they heard the news. Impatience, who was soaking in the bath, even forgot everything and flew out of the water naked. She couldn't wait to give Yu Yang a kiss as a reward. Her bold actions made Yu stare blankly at her. She was secretly embarrassed. Sky Disaster was better. She casually wiped her body, put on a bathrobe, shouted "Long live brother-in-law," and ran over to join the fun. The royal cat's sister resisted the excitement to see Yu Yang. Her mouth twitched. She expressed that she didn't want to go. But she didn't stop the little panda girl. Nyonyo followed the little girl to find Yu Yang. She pretended to cultivate while eavesdropping on the cheers in the distance. Yu Yang comprehended the sovereign's heart. Not to mention that they were happy. Even Night Empress and Ji Zun were shocked. They came one after another, and Night Empress said a lot to Yu Yang. Regardless of whether Yu Yang had a way to remember it or not, she instilled all kinds of knowledge to him first. Ji Zun didn't say anything. She only said one sentence. "This is just the beginning." For her, this was already a great praise. Unlike Night Empress, Ji Zun brought the Eastern Goblin Tribe Dragon Girls to Yu Yang. They were the war god guards that she gave to him. Yu Yang, who had already comprehended the sovereign's heart, had truly gained their recognition. Of course, Yu Yang didn't need to guess to think of one thing. The half-moon silver ornament that they gave him before must require the sovereign's heart to use, or open some seal. The dragon girls had never followed their master like other revered martial guards. It must be because following Yu Yang wasn't of much use before, and they had to wait for Yu Yang to reach the sovereign realm. Yu Yang didn't think of the use of the half-moon silver ornament for the time being, but now he understood that Ji Zun, Night Empress, and the dragon girls had been waiting for him to reach the sovereign realm. Previously, they were afraid that he would be anxious and become a psychological barrier, so they didn't explain it. My name is Yao. You are our master. We will protect you with our lives in the future. The serious-looking dragon girl called herself Yao. We are very powerful. The cute dragon girl called herself Feather. Ji Zun didn't say anything, but when Yu Yang took out the half-moon silver ornament, she nodded slightly. Then, she floated away. What was the use of this silver ornament? Yu Yang was puzzled at first, but his heart suddenly moved. Could this thing be the same as the black jade necklace that sealed Queen Vivian Li? Was there a powerful enemy or a strong person sealed inside? Or a treasure, holy grimoire, or a divine beast? Could it be God's blood and martial spirit? Yu Yang's heart beat wildly. What the dragon girls gave him was definitely not a silver-ranked item. It was definitely something good. Our current strength is only equivalent to a human warrior's innate level 8. Without a grimoire, we wouldn't be able to help you much. However, as the war god guards of the Eastern Goblin tribe, as long as we drip a blood contract with our master and release the curse made by our ancestors when they were expelled, we would be able to obtain the forgiveness of the Eastern Immortal Tribe. When we re-inherit the Immortal Tribe's bloodline, our strength will increase greatly. I believe that we will be able to better protect our master. The dragon girl indicated that the Immortal Tribe's bloodline inheritance was sealed in the small silver ornament in Yu Yang's hand. Yes, we, the War God Guards, have inherited the Immortal Tribe's bloodline and can even transform into a human divine weapon in battle. The dragon girl's words stunned Yu Yang. As it turns out, the blood-winged angel beside Ji Zun is her War God Guard. But it was strange. How could the blood-winged angel be from the Eastern Immortal Tribe? And why did he have 2 War God Guards and only 1 Ji Zun? The more Yu Yang thought about it, the more mysteries there were. He decided not to think about it anymore. Anyway, there were many things that he couldn't figure out right now. Right now, the only thing he had to do was to drip a blood contract with the dragon girls and release their ancestral curse. The process of dripping a blood contract was very complicated. First, he drew a unique contract rune on the summoning grimoire, and then drew the same contract rune on the foreheads of the 2 women. Then, Yu Yang used the sovereign realm to contract with them. If they hadn't comprehended the sovereign's heart, it would have been impossible to succeed. It was no wonder that they hadn't come to Yu Yang before. They would rather accompany Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai to train. Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai knew the most about the blood contract. They dismissed everyone out of the door and instructed everyone to do what they had to do. It would take at least an hour or 2 for them to succeed. Hearing their words, the girls immediately dispersed. Everyone was busy. Yu Yang, who was trying his best to maintain the sovereign realm, discovered that his energy was flowing into the dragon girls' bodies bit by bit. His mind was also fusing with them bit by bit. Innate chi circulated in the 3 of their bodies, and the heaven runes and ancient runes formed various mysterious arrays on their bodies. The nirvana flame burned the dragon girls' bodies, allowing them to be reborn in the cleansing of their marrows. The blood contract ceremony was very long. However, this kind of fusion would not fail. It was gradual, with Yu Yang as the main and the 2 girls as assistants. Even the souls of the 3 of them were fused into one. Yu Yang had an illusion that the 2 girls were a part of his body, a special extension. They were even more real than guardian war beasts like Shadow. The 2 girls couldn't detect his own thoughts, but the 2 girls' thoughts would be clearly reflected in Yu Yang's mind. It could be said that no matter what Yu Yang wanted to do, he didn't need to say it. As long as he thought about it, they could accept and faithfully execute it. What they did was the same as what they wanted to do in their hearts. Only these guards who completely follow their masters will, as the highest order, could be called war god guards. Golden light rose from the summoning grimoire. The grimoire flipped. The contents displayed were different from ordinary war beasts and also different from guardian war beasts. War god guards were another kind of existence, and they were very special. They were loyal and detached from life and death like guardian war beasts, but they also had the tendency to grow independently like ordinary warriors. They didn't need to participate in their master's battle, and they could also cultivate and improve themselves. The most special thing was that because their minds were one with their master, war god guards could transform into human divine soldiers and assist their master in battle. This was an ability that ordinary war beasts and most guardian war beasts didn't have. The dragon's sisters, who had become naked because of the nirvana flame's purification, weren't shy. Instead, they hugged Yu Yang tightly. On the dragon wings on their backs, the ancestral curse runes that had fused with their souls gradually appeared. As they recognized their master, they disappeared and turned invisible. What replaced them were the 3 ancient runic circles that Yu Yang had drawn on their bodies. Yu Yang didn't understand why he had to do that. In his heart, there was only that kind of inspiration, as if there was a kind of power that enlightened his wisdom. When Yu Yang dripped his blood on the half-moon-shaped silver accessory, it shattered with a bang. An indescribable force rushed towards him. It easily penetrated Yu Yang. However, to his surprise, Yu Yang wasn't hurt at all. On the contrary, his body seemed to have an inexplicable feeling of comfort, as if he had obtained some kind of affirmation. It was as exciting as comprehending the sovereign's heart. Yu Yang closed his eyes, but with his heaven eyes' divine vision, he could still clearly see that the inheritance power was actually 2, not 1. It was 2 perfect and flawless powers that had merged into 1. It was like a bird, but there was only 1 wing on each side. It was beautiful. When they flew back and forth around Yu Yang's body, the Qilin girl Bing, who ran out, cried out, "It's a love-winged bird. How can there be a love-winged bird's power inheritance in such a place? Has there been a war here before?" The power of the love-winged bird, which was combined into 1, instantly merged into Yu Yang's body. It spread out on his left and right arms and transmitted to the dragon sisters. When the dragon sisters received the love-winged bird's power inheritance, they screamed in unison. Their voices were as beautiful as the sounds of nature, causing one's soul to tremble. Even Shui Wuxia and the others outside, after hearing it, were stunned for a long time before their minds slowly recovered. The Qilin girl Bing pouted her cute little mouth and helped Yu Yang. She reached into his body and injected a large amount of her pure energy, allowing him to quickly complete the contract ceremony. When the dragon sisters bowed to the Qilin girl, they turned into golden light and returned to the grimoire world to sleep. It was believed that they still had a long period of hibernation before they fully mastered the inheritance power. Of course, compared to Jiang Ying, who had received the inheritance of the dragon god's supreme divine power, their situation as war god guards was much better. "Thank you, girl. Sometimes you are quite cute." Yu Yang thought that he would be half dead from exhaustion. He did not expect that with Bing Yin's help, he would complete the ceremony. "Ah, you exhibitionist." The Qilin girl Bing saw Yu Yang's naked body and ran away, covering her face. She was shy. Chapter 665. The fight in the water world continued. Yikong and Fatty Hai were lucky enough to see a battle that other warriors could never see in their lives. They benefited a lot, far beyond their own understanding. Not to mention them, even the 3 surrendered people, Zhongguan, Bai Ma, and He Tu, sighed with emotion. The warriors of Tong Tian Tower had too many grimoires, not to mention holy beasts. Emperor of the Underworld, Dragon Emperor, Sky Execution, Sky Wrath, Sky Crime, and Sky Calamity each had 1. Among them, Dragon Emperor and Sky Execution not only had 2 holy beasts, but the strongest guardian war beast was almost a divine beast. As soon as these holy beasts came out, they besieged Yonghui, who was at the peak of the 4th level of Heaven Stage. If it weren't for the fact that Sky Execution and the others wanted to practice and didn't want to kill such a rare enemy, Yong Hui, who had lost the healing of the Spirit of Radiance, would have died several times. Among the younger generation, although Shui Tanlang's Storm Giant, Yikong's King Kong Demon Ape, and Fatty High's Wind Breath Seabird couldn't directly hurt Yong Hui, but the commanding skills they learned and the experience of participating in the battle were valuable wealth that others couldn't obtain in their lifetime. When they grew up, Zhongguan had reason to believe that Shui Tanlang and the others would be the next generation of Sky Execution and Dragon Emperor. What made Zhongguan most sad was that even human warriors like the Li brothers also had a summoning grimoire. This was simply unreasonable. In the Heaven Realm, only the warriors with the best aptitude could have summoning grimoires, and it was very difficult to upgrade. It was impossible to be like the little girl Lu Yi, who fought for a while and rested for a while. But if it wasn't upgrading the level of the grimoire, it was upgrading the level of the perforate deer, and even upgrading the talent level. The kind of speed of improvement made them completely speechless. There was no other way. The teammates of Yu family's 3rd young master were all abnormal. When Zhongguan and the others were deeply resentful, Yu Yang continued to experiment in Rainbow Castle. "Girl, what do you think this little thing is?" Yu Yang called out Qilin girl Bingyin, holding the tail of the clever little monster, ignoring its tearful and pitiful appearance, and asked her. His expression seemed to say that if she answered that it was not a good thing, he would take it to barbecue and eat it. Water-repellent golden clear beast, a cub. Its demonic aura is very heavy. This little thing should be a demonic beast. The Qilin girl gave a cute little yawn and went back to sleep. "Should I fry it or grill it?" Yu Yang asked the little waterproof golden clear beast. Hearing this, the golden clear-eyed beast nodded, rolling on the ground. It was mainly trying to attract everyone's attention when it saw that the room was full of girls who were overflowing with sympathy. If there was only Yu Yang around, it would be as obedient as a stone lion. Without Yu Yang's order, it would not dare to move. Shui Wuxiao knew that Yu Yang was just trying to scare everyone so that they would give her a way out of this embarrassing situation. However, she didn't like this kind of demonic beast, so she shook her head, indicating that she didn't need it. City Mistress Fallen Flowers also refused because she had previously obtained a Nirvana Sunflower of Heaven Stage Level 5. Her strength had greatly increased, so contracting this waterproof golden clear beast wouldn't be of much use. Most importantly, she needed to cultivate the little fox girl. Before the little fox girl became a holy beast or a divine beast, she didn't have the leisure to cultivate another one. City Mistress Fallen Flowers would contract the Fast Finger Light Tooth later. Yu Yang was preparing to fuse the Fast Finger Light Tooth with the Aurora Light. She, who had gained the most, naturally wouldn't want the waterproof golden clear beast, even if it looked very cute. "Brother, I'm only good at plant-type beasts." Yu Bing also waved her hand at her brother. What she hoped to improve the most was the Titan Ancient Tree. If there was a sunny sunflower, she might contract another one in the future. However, the waterproof golden clear beast wasn't of much use to her. "What an ugly puppy." Yu Shuang turned around and left. "I'll take a nap first. I've been training a bit too much at night." Impatience stretched her body, which made people's hearts beat hot. Her words made Anan blush. She understood what impatience, the Sky Law girl, meant. It was fine for the first few nights. She let Anan and Yu Yang be lovey-dovey. In the next few nights, she directly joined the battle. Moreover, that kind of intense battle made Anan understand that she was simply not a qualified wife. She was so scared on the first night that she was dumbstruck. After she reacted, she immediately ran away and went to sleep with Yu Bing. She didn't dare to join that kind of battle. That was not a super battle that her tender body could withstand. Anan gradually realized that as long as it took 10 minutes, she would be completely satisfied. She, who was unable to fight again, was really the weakest one. Just like Aquamarine, that female Ocean Emperor's battle. It was also incomparably shocking. Of course, while Anan was ashamed, she still preferred the way she got along with Yu Yang. There was no kind of storm-like wildness, but the gentleness that came naturally was what she needed and what she was good at. She liked his gentleness, and decided to leave the wild ones to others. And you being left. Although the water-repellent golden-eyed beast was good, it was not what they needed. In the house, only you and Princess Sisai were left. Yu saw her brother looking over and smiled and waved her hand. I have storm waves. Besides, don't you want to integrate the spirit of radiance into my angel's blade? If this water-repellent golden-eyed beast is good, you should contract it. Unable to increase Yu Yang's combat power, Yu felt that it was not enough. She hoped that he would become supreme in the world. Only then would she feel at ease. The water-repellent golden-eyed beast was psychic. When it heard Yu Yang's contract, it shook its head quickly. It expressed that it did not dare to follow the devil like Yu Yang, because Yu Yang threatened to roast it or fry it. It was so scared that its little heart was beating fast. Princess Sisai suddenly stood up. It turns out that I won't contract other war beasts because White Tiger is enough. However, since everyone doesn't want it, I will contract it. Well, I will contract it as a pet. She considered the variety of tactics. She used to think that as long as she had strength, everything would be fine. But in the water world, she could hardly play. In the Black Tower, seeing Crow's rich tactics and the special combination of war beasts, she saw her own weaknesses, so she had the idea of strengthening her war beast system. If it was an ordinary war beast, she wouldn't be interested, but this was the water-repellent golden-eyed beast, a famous war beast in the Eastern Goblin tribe, so she decided to contract it. One was to enhance her own strength. The other was to enrich her tactics. With the water-repellent golden-eyed beast, at least in the water battle, she could have a certain advantage. In the Black Tower or the water world, a special space with the law of forbidding martial arts, there are also many ways to play. Woo-woo! The little water-repellent golden-eyed beast pretended to be very obedient, ran to lick Princess Sisai's fingers, and rubbed her feet with its body, pretending to be a cute pet. Gray Wolf, come, help me train it. If you can catch it, you can eat it. After signing the contract, Princess Sisai turned ruthless, revealing a murderous aura that was 100 times stronger than that of Yu Yang. She called Gray Wolf and asked it to train the little water-repellent golden-eyed beast. Of course, Gray Wolf was happy. Little guy, you dare to compete with this dog to please the master. I'm not afraid of what kind of Eastern Goblin beast you are. As long as you pretend to be cute in front of the master and the mistress, I will beat you up when I see you. Woo! The little water-repellent golden-eyed beast found that it was unlucky. The new master of the contract, Princess Sisai, was more terrible than the demonic Yu Yang, and there was also a cheap dog who was jealous of it pretending to be obedient. The tears attack was useless, and it was scared to run away immediately. What a joke! That cheap dog was a mythological beast. It was impossible to win. Princess Sisai saw the miserable appearance of the water-repellent golden-eyed beast fleeing, and her tight, pretty face suddenly showed a smile. This little thing is very smart, and it knows how to hide its strength. If Binging didn't come out, it would never be willing to contract with me. It should take some time to really subdue it. Yu Yang knew that Princess Sisai would definitely have a way, and smiled. Let's leave it for a few days. When it sees the improvement of all the war beasts, it will naturally be tempted. Princess Sisai punched Yu Yang lightly and turned to leave. Yu pretended not to see it. However, she actually knew the meaning of this secret signal. If Princess Sisai thinks of Yu Yang in her heart, or wants to do body fusion with him, she will pretend to be angry and punch him when no one is around. Yu saw it twice and understood the meaning of this pink fist. Every time she pretended not to know, she was afraid that Yu Yang and Princess Sisai would be embarrassed if they knew. And when she thought that Yu Yang's younger brother used his own body image to make IKA, she couldn't help but panic. He must have explored her body through body fusion. He could explore it before, and of course he can now. But there is no way to refuse the possibility of continuing body fusion with him. She is the only one who can give him the negative energy of the water element. Without her, his progress will be slow. Yu would rather be embarrassed than be an obstacle to his cultivation. His improvement is more important than her own life. Moreover, this is the request of Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, and city lord fallen flowers. Even the Night Empress has hinted that she should work hard to cooperate with Yu Yang's body fusion, not to mention the silent support of her fourth mother. Am I really not my father's daughter? Or am I the one who was wrongly carried on the battlefield? I was carried back. Has it really been sacrificed? Why is there such a big contradiction between the words of her father and fifth grandfather? If I am not, then I can. No, I must be. Yu shook her head hard, as if she wanted to get rid of the idea that quietly emerged from the bottom of her heart. That idea was unbearable for her. She felt that no matter what, she must be his second sister. She must not have nothing to do with him. She must not become a stranger. Maybe something was wrong, but she must be her father's daughter. What's wrong? Yu Yang saw Yu's strange look and asked. No, I'm fine. Yu was shocked and hurriedly waved her hand, for fear that Yu Yang would see through her thoughts. Do you have a fever? Yu Yang reached out his hand to touch Yu's flushed face, and then used his hand to compare the temperature of his forehead. He nodded in relief. You don't have a fever. Your body is too weak, and you don't usually take care of your body. For warriors at your level, other people would almost never fall sick. I'm not that delicate. Yu rolled her eyes at Yu Yang. She seemed to object to his words, but her heart was sweet. He was very concerned about her. If anything happened, he was even more anxious than her. Although she refused on the surface, she liked his concern in her heart. It felt good to have such a silly brother. Yu Yang released the spirit of radiance. He had a crazy idea. He was going to fuse the spirit of radiance, which had recovered part of its consciousness, with Yu's angel's blade, which was only a silver rank, into one to create an unprecedented new war beast. If it was in the past, Yu would definitely refuse him, because this fusion would probably require body fusion. If it was not done well, her clothes would turn into ashes. She knew that he could explore her body during body fusion, but she could not bear to expose her body to his sight. But now, she acquiesced to his fusion plan because she could not bear to refuse his gentle care for her. Fuse with the spirit of radiance and create a new war beast. This was the crystallization of his efforts. He gave this opportunity to her. Why? It was to better protect her. If she still refused him, it would be too disappointing. She did not know what the future would be like. But now, she had to support him, because he was her proudest and most favorite brother. As long as it was beneficial to him and useful to him, even if it was her own life, it was worth it to sacrifice for him. No matter what price she had to pay, even if it was death, she was willing to do it. This was her sister's greatest support for him. Chapter 666. The process of fusing the spirit of radiance with the angel's blade was not easy. It was much more difficult than creating a battle angel alone. However, Yu Yang had different gains every day. In the process of fusion, there were new insights almost every day. Yu Yang discovered that the knowledge that the pitiful guy's mother had passed on to him could only display its true power with the support of the sovereign's heart. What he had mastered before, compared to now, was simply just a step into the threshold. He could hardly imagine how the pitiful guy's mother could know so much knowledge. If people could master 1% of all her knowledge, or even 1,000th of it, they would probably be a knowledgeable great sage. Because he had reached the sovereign realm, Yu Yang felt that his brain had developed more, his memory was better, and his reaction was faster. It seemed that his capacity had also been expanded. It was impossible to remember so much knowledge in the past. It would definitely be a mess. Now, those tide-like memories were unsealed one by one and spread out in all directions. He felt that he could memorize them with ease, and most of them were integrated in the process of memorizing them. It was as simple as calculating a single digit multiplied by a single digit in his mind. There was only a small amount of mysterious knowledge that needed to be pondered slowly. Of course, among all the inherited knowledge, there is still a portion of the mysteries of knowledge that had not been unlocked even in the sovereign realm. Perhaps those mysteries of knowledge would require Yu Yang to climb to a higher realm in order to unlock them. Why are you in such a good mood to refine martial spirit pills today? You have been practicing with Yu Yang these past few days. She acquiesced to the necessary double cultivation when he used the spirit of radiance to fuse with his angel's blade, allowing his innate true chi to flow continuously in their bodies. Even if Yu Yang failed to fuse, causing an explosion and destroying both of their clothes, she did not flee like before. Instead, she stayed to encourage and support him. It was because of her full cooperation that Yu Yang could let go of his hands and feet and devote himself to research. In the midst of failure, he constantly gained all kinds of experience and continued to improve. Fallen flowers brought back the materials yesterday. Don't waste them. There were 2 reasons why Yu Yang changed to refining the martial spirit pill today. First, it was because Yu had completely let go of the knot in her heart. With the help of dual cultivation, her power had improved rapidly, and her realm had advanced by leaps and bounds. If she took the martial arts pill specially made by Yu Yang, she believed that she could break through to the innate realm. Secondly, Yu Yang had received a new revelation from the pitiful guy's mother's inheritance of knowledge. He was preparing to use a better secret method to upgrade a higher-level martial spirit pill. What Yu Yang had refined before was not an ordinary martial spirit pill. After the guidance of the Qilin girl, the super martial spirit pill refined could be said to be of the highest quality. The old cunning fox was originally stuck at the threshold of a lesser innate, but after consuming Yu Yang's martial spirit pill, he immediately advanced. However, he and the Qilin girl Bingyin were not satisfied. The 2 of them felt that if they used better materials and better methods, they should be able to refine the supreme grade martial spirit pill. The main reason why Yu Yang did not refine the supreme grade martial spirit pill was because the Qilin girl did not pay enough attention to a low-level pill like the martial spirit pill and felt that these little things were useless. If Yu Yang wanted to refine a martial god pill that could increase the potential of a martial artist, she would probably be a lot more active. Unfortunately, the materials for the martial god pill were not gathered. The Qilin girl spent most of her time sleeping and recovering. She couldn't come out every day to study the pill with him. Yu Yang could only rely on the knowledge of the pitiful guy's mother. Previously, there had been no new understanding, so he suspended refining pills for a period of time. Now that he had reached the sovereign realm, Yu Yang had received a new revelation. Of course, he wanted to try the effect. What kind of martial spirit pill could he refine? In the laboratory, Yu was his assistant. Usually, other than sickly beauty and Yu Yang studying the heaven runes together, none of the girls came to disturb them. The whole laboratory was her and Yu Yang's small world. This was because of the hints of Princess Sisai and Shui Wuxia. First, they wanted to give Yu something to do. They couldn't let her be like before, and they wanted her to have a goal to strive for. Second, Yu could indeed help Yu Yang. Her meticulousness combined with Yu Yang's bold innovation produced a better effect than others cooperating with Yu Yang. Third, Yu's water-negative energy was a good help to Yu Yang. When Yu Yang was tired from his research, she could use energy to recover his fatigue. If he failed too much during his research and his temper was bad, she could comfort him and calm him down. In short, with her as a sister, Yu Yang would take fewer detours. When everyone saw that Yu was so helpful to his research, they tacitly did not disturb the 2 of them. Take your time. Yu prepared the materials one by one, while Yu Yang used Nirvana Flame to refine these materials to their best state. He had consumed a lot of energy and was so tired that his hands and feet were weak. However, he was reluctant to stop and rest. He was afraid that he would leave the sovereign realm and would not be able to maintain the excellent state of controlling everything. Yu wiped Yu Yang's sweat over and over again, feeling especially distressed. Everyone knew that the Yu clan's 3rd young master was an unprecedented super expert. At such a young age, he could defeat Heaven's stage. However, who knew that the effort he put in was 100 times, 1,000 times that of others? Who knew that the sweat he shed was 100 times, 1,000 times that of others? Yu could not remember how many times she had wrung her handkerchief to wipe his sweat. She also could not remember how many times she had fed him water. She only knew one thing. During the entire day and night, he didn't even rest for a second. He didn't even want to waste the time to eat. Even when he drank water, he had to take a few sips with a straw when he brought the cup to his mouth. With such a hard-working brother, if he could not succeed, there would be no justice. Her brother was not only a genius, he was also extremely hard-working. The latter was the reason why he was so much better than others. Boom! Because the quality of the materials was not good enough, there was a small mistake in the control. When Yu Yang was refining the materials, a small-scale explosion occurred in the energy refining array. Yu Yang hurriedly turned around to protect Yu, but he had to bear the power of the explosion. He could not use energy to resist, because once he raised his energy, the super-strong supreme power would completely destroy the entire laboratory and the materials inside. Yu Yang wanted to maintain the state of the sovereign realm, and he could not use the power of the sovereign realm. Of course, this kind of explosion did not harm his body at all, but the clothes on his body could not. In an instant, it turned into nothingness. Yu Yang immediately changed a few sets at first, but later on, the number of explosions increased, so he gave up. Yu also pretended not to see, ignoring this awkward situation, her eyes only looking at his face. In addition to handing over the materials in her hand, she also wiped his sweat, fed him water, and channeled gentle water in energy. Her clothes had long been destroyed by the explosion. Fortunately, there was still the angel's blade, which transformed into a sword robe and covered her feminine characteristics. Bastard, who sent this material? Yu Yang blew up another material in less than a minute, and his temper rose. Don't worry. There must be high-quality materials and inferior-quality materials. With so many materials, it's already very good to be able to refine a few portions. Let's continue. Yu constantly comforted Yu Yang, who was in a rage. She picked up the materials that he had dropped on the ground, changed to another one first, and waited for his temper to subside before handing it back to him again. Only she, who had a gentle temper, had this patience. If it were anyone else, they wouldn't be able to be Yu Yang's assistant. Damn Baruth, the stone magic flower that was sent over didn't even bloom. What's the use of it? Yu Yang failed again and cursed. Stone magic flower, there's more here. Drink some water first. Yu knew that it was not Baruth's fault. One must know that a rare thing like the stone magic flower was already very rare to be able to pick. Usually, there are magical beasts guarding spiritual plants for a long time. Once someone from the outside world discovered it, they would immediately destroy the treasure of heaven and earth. They would rather destroy it than let the enemy obtain it. After Yu's constant comfort and Yu Yang's continuous summary of experience, the refining process gradually came to an end. Yu Yang, who was mentally exhausted, forcefully held on, gained countless experience, and used the Nirvana's flame to refine a large number of high-quality materials. After all the preparation materials were refined, Yu Yang didn't even have time to lie down on the bed. He directly sat on the floor of the laboratory, leaning against the table and chair. He fell asleep. Looking at his exhausted face due to overexertion of his innate qi, Yu felt extremely pained. Other than covering him with his clothes gently, she wanted to help him more, but it was a pity that she did not have enough strength. Outside the door, Shui Wuxia and Princess Sisai floated in, working together to nourish Yu Yang's tired body with energy, helping him recover as soon as possible. On the other hand, Luo Hua City Mistress, who was standing behind, helped Yu put on a piece of clothing and hugged her gently. She transferred energy to her body. This allowed Yu, who had been cooperating, to quickly rest. Thank you. Yu closed her eyes and said dreamily, No, we want to thank you. You have done more than us. City Mistress Fallen Flowers did not finish her words. Yu had already fallen asleep. In fact, she was also tired. The best materials, innate qi, Nirvana's flame, ancient secret techniques, and Yu Yang's own blood. What kind of reaction would it produce? This question, after Yu Yang and Yu woke up one after another, they continued to work. After refining for another day and night, they finally got the best answer. The new pill almost gathered the best materials of humans: Sea Clan, Nether Clan, Demon Clan, Golden Elves, Dwarves, and more than a dozen other races. Yu Yang used innate chi and Nirvana's flame, combined with the pitiful guy's mother's ancient secret technique, and even added his own blood to finally refine a martial spirit pill that was 100 times better than before. This was not a martial god pill, but its medicinal power and value could be equivalent to, or even surpass, the martial god pill. It was miraculously born. When a Night Empress heard the news, she was shocked. After her personal appraisal, she came to a conclusion. This kind of super high-grade martial spirit pill had enormous energy. Not to mention advancing to innate, even if it was a huge threshold for advancing to Heaven Stage. It was enough to help people break through. Of course, Heaven Stage was different from innate sovereign. Without the heart of a sovereign, even if a martial artist had a grimoire, it would only be Heaven Stage. However, this kind of martial spirit pill could help people break through innate and reach Heaven Stage. Its birth. It also made the leaders of the various races completely crazy, especially the great demon King Baruth and the others who had already reached innate level 10. These super experts have been stuck in the innate realm for hundreds of years, unable to advance even an inch. Now, with the super high-grade Heaven Stage martial spirit pill named by the Night Empress, they discovered that a Heaven Stage martial spirit pill that led to a higher peak appeared in front of them. Before this, how desperate they were. Yang had never thought that he would refine a few top-grade martial spirit pills for Yu and the others to eat, so that they could advance to the innate realm. Who would have thought that he would refine this kind of Heaven Stage martial spirit pill that could help people break through the bottleneck of Heaven Stage? In addition to the innate chi in Nirvana's flame, in addition to the ancient secret technique, could it be that the real reason was his own blood? This question flashed in the bottom of Yu Yang's heart. Of course, he would never be unable to say this secret technique. As for Yu, Shui Wuxia, Princess Sisai, and the City Lord of Fallen Flowers, they also tacitly did not ask and pretended not to know. You're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.